But, you know, we catch those. Hey, it's podcasting time.
Oh, are we recording now?
Yeah, no, we're actually recording now.
Okay.
I know this sounds like our usual shitty intro, but we actually had a decent intro today that I botched.
I know all these listeners aren't going to get to hear the best
This
we have
is
ever
our
done.
This is our normal intro where it's just Willer's like, "Oh, hey, we're actually recording now."
Yep, and then Joe goes, "Wait, we're recording?" And then Tyler goes, "Oh, we're recording," and then here we are. As usual, I'm joined with Joe, Tyler, and Bradley, and Tyler is mid-move, so he's gonna be a little echoier than usual, but he sounds fine to me.
I'm sitting on a fold-out chair I bought from Target 20 minutes ago.
Yada yada, he's dedicated. Okay, we're caught up to where we were before. So
I'm kind of upset that we're not world renowned, or what did he say at the beginning of the podcast?
There's no evidence I said anything about you.
We've lost our status of being good podcasters now.
I'm joined here with the most mediocre group of men.
There we go.
Okay.
That's a proper title.
We haven't done one of these in 2 months, as is usual. We've done this enough years now to where we kind of have a schedule where, like, from the middle of November to the beginning of the new year, you'll get maybe 2 or 3 videos out of us. If you're lucky, schedules get too hectic. So we kind of catch up here in January because we're like, okay, we got to do one piece of the podcast in the same week.
And contrary to what you think, we're not on vacation. Life is just too shitty busy to actually have a relaxing time doing this.
I'm about to go on vacation, and you will get your first podcast without my voice. Isn't that right, guys? You'll take care of yourselves for one?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to read all of Haikyuu.
You would never. And you know what? Do it, pussy. Do it.
We're going to do a tier list without Willer.
Ooh.
It better be something I'm not interested in.
I know, right?
We're gonna tier list all the Roundabout cast, like video channel things, like One Piece, Pact.
Our best series.
Like of the things we talk about often.
Yes.
Man, Act Age, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Okay, let's get this shit started. We have a lot to cover, but things could go well. First things first. How were your holidays? Because I actually don't fully know the answer to this because I haven't asked some of y'all.
I got this board game, but we're going to talk about it during the full thing. I had 3 weeks off.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's on there. It's on there.
Okay.
It's not, but I'm going to talk about it anyway.
Okay.
Because it's great. I had 3 weeks off from work, which is quite the luxury. I got to sit down and do nothing maybe 3 of those days.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I got more days than that. But I did make progress in Persona 5 R.
We'll talk about that a little later. I want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool. I officially hit my 2-year anniversary with the game. I was trying to beat Persona 5 R.
Let's go.
I still haven't.
I also want to mention that in the time between Tyler starting Persona 5 R, where he is now, 2 other of our friends both picked up the game and beat it in less amount of time.
And we're talking about never play a JRPG in their lives, friends.
One of them, me and Willa had to sit there and help her with the last boss, which was tons of fun.
That was a fun night.
I'd like to point out that the fact that I haven't completed it yet has nothing to do with difficulty. I would say it is probably the easiest JRPG I've ever played.
Ever? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm even playing on hard mode. This is probably still one of the easiest ones.
Don't get me wrong. Persona 5 R is an easy game, especially if you have some JRPG experience. But to say it's the easiest you've ever played is a little disingenuous.
No. It actually is. But that is not to detract from the game at all. I would still say it is one of the best, if not the best JRPG. But it definitely is also one of the easiest, and I think that does give to it,
I think it's just more fair than some of the harder JRPGs you've played. I think that's a better declaration there.
Yeah.
Reasonable, you mean?
In the spirit of the holiday topic, let's go ahead and talk about Persona 5R first and foremost.
No.
Because
no.
Tyler did finish the base game. He just started the Royal content, and that ends on Christmas with the Phantom Thieves saving the holidays.
Christmas.
So
Yeah, Willer was in my chat and he goes, "You did it! The Phantom Thieves saved Christmas!" And I just busted out
a
laughing.
classic. Someone had to make the joke for you. It's got to be done.
So yeah, in the base game. Okay, hold up.
No, talk about your holidays, asshole.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about my holiday. So yeah, I played Persona. I got a new apartment. I got to hang out with my niece. And so, for anybody in the podcast, I got niece and nephews now. They're kind of dope. They're getting to like the age of 2 and 3, where they know what presents are, but they don't really get it yet. Like, they're excited for anything. They like the act of just opening shit. They don't care what's inside it. So I'm at that point in my adult life, and that's pretty cool. I liked getting presents for them this year. Got to play that new Jackbox game. I got a bunch of new board games. The Jackbox 9, we played it. That one's pretty good.
That's a good one, actually. It's got one of my new favorites. Actually, maybe two of my new favorites.
Is it the Timeline game?
I really like that Timeline game. Yeah,
Timeline game slaps.
There's another one, too, that was pretty good. Like, try to guess an in-between thing and, like, that scale of 1 to 10.
Wavelength.
Yeah, basically Wavelength.
Yeah,
It is a better form of Wavelength IMO.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all my holiday was. I got to hang out with Kelly for almost the entire time for like a month straight.
Yo.
I got my first Christmas tree. I got really in the spirit this year.
Damn. You made holiday
definitely
cards. You're that kind of person now.
It's called Not Being Depressed.
Yo.
Let's give it up.
New skill unlocked.
yes. New buff. Not
I
depressed.
am thou art I.
Yeah. It's a new buff. There's a timer on it, but don't look at the timer. Don't think about it.
Strength
Don't accidentally
before,
right-click it.
strength before weakness.
Indeed.
Life before death.
Who wants to? I'll do my holidays because they're the least eventful. I was sick for all
You
of
had literally
Christmas.
the worst Christmas I've ever seen.
And then I had like an okay Did I even do anything for New Year's?
Yeah,
hang
you
out
came
with
with
us.
Oh
us.
yeah, I did. I guess.
But you were going through something that night, so that's why you don't remember.
I was just, I don't know, maybe still recovering. So mine's skippable. Genuine, like anything I did during the holidays would come up later on the podcast because it was just a lot of time alone.
Yeah. I drove back down to see family. It was a fairly quick Christmas. It was very weird. Like I came in and I stayed for like 4 days with them. I left the day after Christmas, which was good because it's like my parents have moved out of our home that we lived in since like me in middle school and into an apartment, which is a fine place to just hang out with them for like 4 days. But after 5 days, it's like, all right, I gotta get out of here.
You've just described exactly why, like, moving to Dallas as opposed to driving up here for holidays makes all the difference, because I don't even have, like, a proper room to stay when I'm here, so it's like I have to share a room, and it's like, oh my, I feel awful. I feel like a burden. I need my own space.
Yeah, like
so that's why it's like, oh, I want to come up, but I'm not going to stay for too long because I'd be wearing myself then.
And I told my mother and my father that, and my dad's like, no, I totally get it, and mom as well.
Yeah.
But we had a great time. Came up, and then I had like 5 days of just kind of hanging out and playing games. Nothing really eventful happened. Kind of like the first like solitary holidays I had. I felt very in control of my life, and I wasn't to the whims of other people. I love the stretch between Christmas and New Year's because it's like that awkward time of like, I can't go back to work because there's no point, but also like, why schedule anything because New Year's is coming around the corner, so I get to literally do nothing.
Yes,
so that's awesome.
The best of times.
Yes, but I think that's really it. They were fairly like non-eventful for me, but that's kind of what I wanted. Oh, I also went to Disneyland with my company. I guess that was kind of the event of that holiday.
Oh, it doesn't even do anything for you anymore. It's just, yep, another season passed, another Joe Disneyland trip.
Well, it was just weird because like I thought for a fact that like I was gonna go to Disney for like 2 more years, and then my company is like, "Hey, we're doing this for our 2." I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." And
didn't you recommend it? Didn't you manipulate fate?
No.
Okay, I thought you did.
I literally, but like they sent us like, here's where we're flying into, but they didn't like tell us what we were doing until like a week beforehand. And I was looking, I was like, oh, where are we flying in? And I looked, and we were like 10 miles away from Disneyland. And I was just like, they're gonna give me an itinerary. I'm gonna have to tell them no, I'm going to Disneyland. It's gonna be kind of weird, but I have to do it. Thankfully, we all went though. Also, they put me in charge of guiding everyone around. I've never been to fucking Disneyland or California Adventure, so
and yet you still did it to professional standards because that's just who you are.
I'm shocked.
I want to add on to Joe's. I didn't think I was going to go to Disney for another 2 to 3 years. My family full on invited me to Disney World in like a few months in like our typical time, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna save money, but keep asking me, and I may change my mind.
This motherfucker is 1000% changing his mind. I'm calling it now.
I've seen him do it before.
In the best of ways, actually.
Yeah.
Other
than that, I'm done. That's
all right, I'm hot potato passing to Bradley. I have no idea what your holidays were like, Bradley.
See, that's the fucking problem, right? Is I already stopped working before the holidays, so I've been on a holiday.
Oh, shit.
And, like, I got to the point where it's like, because, like, here's the thing. It's like you're between jobs and you're like, hey, at least I have time to fucking play and read all the shit I want to play and read. And then you do, and then it's like, well, fuck, now I'm bored. So now I'm I'm finally getting to all the stuff that I should have been getting caught up on, like JoJolion, which was a good time to decide to do that.
Yes.
Because one of y'all just showed me they released some info about the next JoJo part.
Yeah, actually, me and Joe can briefly say I'm excited. I have a lot of copium that this will address problems that you might have heard that I have with the ending in other videos on this very channel.
So
I am at
very cool.
I am at standard hype levels. I will be happy to get more JoJo's, and I will consistently read it when I can.
My hype levels are going up.
Yeah.
He might be coming out with a banger. Who knows?
So I've mostly been a couch potato. I have gotten to get a little work done because me and Emmy have been scientists over here, and what I mean is, for the past few months, she's really had this dream of like, she makes a lot of art, and she wanted to make her own shop online. So shameless plug, Ekanta Art on Etsy.
Yo.
EKANTAART.
It'll be in the description if you want a link of this video.
They're very badass. We tried printing on like a million different kinds of paper, and then we applied a bunch of different stuff to it. Like we tried different UV sprays and like lamination, which is my way of saying they're high quality as shit.
Nice.
She just released one of every baby Pokemon, so go find your favorite. For me, that would be Tyrogue, because I'm the one Tyrogue lover out there. So.
Yeah.
But that's mostly my holiday break, is being lazy and helping out when I can.
All right, then. Good holidays, folks. And I hope any listeners here also had good holidays. All right. We got some other minor topics to talk about. Who should go first?
Me.
Go.
So, I started playing League of Legends Wild Rift, which I thought I would never do. It made me... I was so pissed off when they released Wild Rift, because I was like, all the character models are so much more high poly, and there's all these quality of life features. And I was mostly just, I didn't think Wild Rift was bad. I was just salty they wouldn't bring it over to PC Rift. A lot of the changes. The reason I started playing it is because now most of my favorite characters are out on it. Like, I think they've always had Lux, but now they have Gwen, and they just released Zoe, not to mention they release a lot of Wild Rift exclusive skins nowadays, I think, to bring players over.
Bro, I don't know why, but when you said Lux, I thought you were going to follow up with, like, but they brought Battle Academia Lux, like, just a different version of Lux. I don't know why I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, they didn't bring the normal Lux. That would be weird if they made her base, like, model one of her other skins.
That would be weird.
But, so, just a kind of a quick rundown of stuff I really love and hate about it. Some of this stuff they really need to bring to League. I already mentioned the game just looks better. The models are so much better, and it makes me mad. Another thing, and this blew my mind, the minions get an indicator on them when your next auto attack would finish them off.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's my noob-friendly,
that game is for babies.
Yeah, I need the baby setting for that, because CSing is too stressful while you're in lane.
And man, like, I was sitting here, I was like, okay, well, there's no way that these camera controls are going to be helpful at all. Like, because I'm playing on an iPad, and I'm like, I know how to control the camera well with a mouse and keyboard, but they make it really easy. Like, for example, with Lux, like, she can leave, like, a little field on the ground that you can detonate later. Well, if you leave that spell on the ground and then you walk far enough away that that spell is off your screen, it'll open a tiny little screen in the corner that shows what the screen would look like centered on that spell. So you can, like, see if anybody walks into it and
like a
detonate it.
picture-in-picture?
Yeah, like picture-in-picture.
What the fuck? That's
Wow.
crazy. How does that fit in a phone screen?
It works well on iPad, at least.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, if you pan your camera over to another part of the map, it does a little picture-in-picture of what the screen looks like centered on your character.
Wow, mobile Riot is going in. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been having a lot more fun with it than I thought I would. It's pretty fucking cool.
You're back in, Bradley, sort of.
This is exactly what they wanted. They're like, we're going to release this Zoe skin, and all the Zoe mains are going to download the fucking
Those
app.
fucking degens.
That is how it works.
Does anyone know why the League community is imploding over the anniversary stuff?
Oh, I have no idea.
I do.
Oh.
Is the explanation short?
Yeah. Riot's done with PC League.
Sounds that way.
It's on autopilot now, and is running at minimum capacity, probably, in my opinion. It's let's see, League is 14 years old now, so League has hit puberty essentially. I would say Riot's working on investing in the titles that are making them more money and are more popular, like Wild Rift, like what is Valorant?
Runeterra. Oh yeah, Valorant.
Runeterra actually doesn't bring them that much money. That's the card game, right?
Yeah, I was just throwing it out there because
I heard it's been kind of fizzling lately, even as much as I play it.
Runeterra is their actually gateway IP, where they get people into the Riotverse by allowing them to have so much free content. It introduces them into a very big world of the Wild Rift. And like introduces them all these characters, all this lore. It's a pretty easy to play card game.
So how does this get back to the anniversary stuff?
Like I said, people are just mad. Like they usually go all out for. It's not an anniversary; it's their new season. They usually drop like a big cinematic for the new season. Like if you've watched like old cinematics, like Donkey voices over like League of Legends cinematics, like those are the ones he's voicing over. Those are the new season cinematics. This one was a butterfly on like a camera rail going through an Unreal Engine looking ass built version of Summoner's Rift, and it just had a voiceover.
Nintendo hire this man. They got him.
Yeah, like it. I looked at it and I was just like, I don't get, like, that's why they say they're mad, but at the same time I'm looking at it and like, what did y'all expect 14 years in? Like, this is the sign that this is, like, the writing's been on the wall for the last 5 years. Like, Riot is on maintenance mode with League. That is not their main IP anymore. They've got Valorant, which is doing buku. Yeah, they've got Wild Rift, the mobile version, which they are definitely going to dump more resources into. They have the new fighting game coming out. They have the MMO game coming out.
Here's the thing about Project L. That thing is gonna get abandoned by Riot. If we're being honest,
Yeah.
If this is how they're treating League, then like people aren't gonna play a fighting game even if it has easy controls because they're gonna get their asses kicked by people who understand neutrals. So it's like, it's gonna get rough.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, Project L is a game that I definitely want to play, but then I asked myself, like, a few months after it's out, am I still going to be playing it? Because are they still going to be making it? I don't know.
I think the main issue is you say that's what they're doing to League. Like I said, League of Legends is a 14-year-old MOBA.
Yeah, sorry. When I say that, it's like I don't even think this seems that bad. I think people are overreacting. Dare I say?
Yes, they are. I mean, a lot of people aren't happy with the tank meta in League with the new items. Like that has bad churn anytime that happens. But it's just like a lot of the League content creators don't want to do it anymore, and it's just like the people who have been making League content are old now. They're like getting into their late 20s.
No matter how good League was or is, like it never changes massively enough for them to not get burnt out in 14 years. Like, come on, that's unreasonable to expect.
I mean, to be honest, after Donkey kind of dropped off, like League's been on not like a downward spiral, but it's been a gradual decline since, and it hasn't been bad in any way. Like K-pop out of League, their metal albums out of League. Like League of Legends has had a really good runtime. It was to the point to where Wild Rift should have been a direct sequel to League of Legends, and it kind of is in a lot of ways. And it's just not marketed that way.
It'd be interesting if they one day ported Wild Rift to computers.
Dude, like if they made a League 2, I think that would be pretty cool. But they didn't.
League of Legends, I was complaining. A lot of the complaints are like, we're gonna get 4 champions this year.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
It's taking them like a year to rework Skarner. And like it takes them half a year to rework like Nico's passive. Like it's just it is a skeleton crew. Like it takes so long to do anything. Like they shouldn't be making like hardly any new champions anymore. They should just honestly just keep redoing.
That's not gonna get anyone new. Like you're only gonna hemorrhage players over time.
If they could keep doing stuff like don't even need to do graphical updates because art's a lot, but like just reprogramming champions and how their skills work and like updating them in that capacity, I think would go a long way.
God,
it's just you know what, I'm excited for Project L. I'm excited for the MMO. I think League of Legends universe is enormous now. Like the fact of how much lore Wild Rift introduced and whatever is going to be in that MMO, I think is popping.
Yeah, and I think Arcane changed the paradigm for Riot.
Oh, it really did.
Yeah.
Like if they bring the storytelling of Arcane to an MMO somehow,
we're gonna have something to rival Final Fantasy 14, and they'll both be boring as fuck to play.
Like in the vein of Tyler saying that Runeterra is like their gateway into their IPs now. Like there's a lot of characters I didn't really fuck with before playing Legends of Runeterra. And like now I really like them.
If we're talking about gateways, you have to also bring in Arcane. There's people who the gateway. There's people who don't watch League of Legends trailers because they're afraid of getting spoiled on Arcane stuff.
Holy shit.
I know people who don't they're just Arcane heads. Couldn't be me, but I'm glad for them. Tyler, a fun fact: your girlfriend just recommended the Velma TV show for me, the new one.
Oh, that just came out, right?
That's a bit of a red flag.
Yeah.
She just messaged me mid podcast. I'm like, I'm sorry, Kelly. It's not for me.
I have heard nothing good about that show.
I've heard nothing but cringe and everything you would dislike. It's basically a show. You get the sense that it's a show where it was like they did not have the Scooby-Doo license till halfway through, and they just threw it in there. Kind of like every video game adaptation like live-action adaptation.
Speaking of video game adaptations, I think the Last of Us thing just came out also.
That's supposed to be actually really good. So that's pretty cool.
I'm kind of over The Last of Us. Like, stop.
I am too, Tyler. I don't want to do anything with it.
Well, I mean, you're over it. You don't engage with that content. Neither do I, which is why I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll watch the TV show, but I'm not like burnt out by the game because I don't play.
I played the first one when it came out. The multiplayer was more engaging to me than the single player story.
But did you play Uncharted multiplayer?
I didn't play Uncharted at all, and I have all 4. So, I was over the Uncharted movie too because I didn't like the age casting.
That's just a bad movie. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I'll let y'all know next time if the Last of Us show is good because I hear it's like genuinely good. We got off tangent. Dice Throne, Bradley. Tell us about Dice Throne.
Yes. Briefly, Dice Throne is a very, very fucking cool card/board game, whatever you would call it. But
I would call it improved Yahtzee.
Dude, it's like versus Yahtzee. It's really cool. There's a bunch of different characters, classes like ninja, pyromancer, monk, stuff like that. And every character has a list of moves they can do, and they have their like class-specific dice. And so you basically roll all 6 of your dice at once, and they give you different symbols. And so if I'm playing the monk, like, oh, if I rolled these dice and I got 3 fists and 2 palms, I can do the combo strike.
Fist of Temigong.
Exactly, Fist of Temigong, exactly.
And the way the strategy goes with, like, should I re-roll to try to get a different attack, or should I settle with what I got?
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes there's even multiple different skills that can use the exact same things you rolled. So it's like, which one do I choose? It is very cool. Some characters' dice will have like 3 of the same symbol, so they have like consistent damage but kind of low. Some characters might only have like 1 or 2 of each symbol, so it's harder to pull stuff off. But
if you ever get a chance to play it again, see if you can get a hand on the Marvel expansion, because you can play as the Marvel characters as well.
Yeah, apparently, like, other expansions are compatible with the base set rules, too, which is cool.
Yeah. The only thing... I love Dice Throne. The only thing I don't like is that we can never find, like, a good rule set for the targeting.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, like, it's frustrating because of that, where it's like, the targeting is very out of your hand, but also if it was completely in your hand... Joe would just bully everyone because he doesn't want people to have fun in board games. He wants to win.
Like, the kind of cool thing is they have a little bit of targeting built in, where it's like if you target the player in the lead, you get to draw a free card. So it's like there's a soft incentive. I like that it's a soft incentive.
You play the other targeting. We roll the dice to target.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So yeah, ours was you could choose anybody to target, but if you target the strongest player, you get bonuses.
Yeah, we've done that once.
Yeah, we did.
I like that.
But talking about targeting, so I was playing with my family, so naturally my brothers only went for me like the first 2 or 3 of both of their turns. So I immediately got down to like 9 or 10 health at the start of the game. But I was playing the monk, which I think is kind of like a really weak early on, really strong later on. He seems extremely difficult to kill. I ended up winning the game with 1 health left.
Damn.
So that's badass.
That's why you don't leave people alive when they're on their knees. That's why you gotta kill them.
Yeah, but I bet they had a fun time, Joe, as a family.
I'm sure they had a great time.
But they lost.
They did.
They lost.
All right, I'm gonna go now.
Okay.
I've been cooking a lot. I just wanted to say that my cooking has improved a lot lately.
Oh, okay, actual cooking, not like...
Yeah, not the meme let him cook, it's let me cook.
Oh, actual cooking.
Yeah, like chef. I've been working on a beef stew recipe over multiple iterations, and last night I made the best one yet.
Fuck. Now I want some.
Joe, don't you retch at me. You fucking delicious. Neither Joe nor Tyler made the beef stew I made for them. Bradley has eaten things that he would never... Bradley ate carrots that I made.
When did you make beef stew?
For Thanksgiving, remember when you got the dish right next to it and then lied to me that you forgot about the beef stew?
Oh, no, I straight up didn't see it. I had some of Kelly's. It was good.
Yeah, sure. I got Bradley into carrots. That's my...
He really did. I'm a carrot-eating motherfucker.
Dude, I've been making some roasted carrots. Those motherfuckers get sweet. Ooh, girl. And my chicken recipe has gone up. This is just makes me happy. I just wanted to bring it up.
It makes me happy.
On to the nerdy shit. I finished Trails of Cold Steel. It's been a long campaign throughout the year. You do this joke every time, Bradley. Go sit and
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, you do. Bradley, you'd say this every time. Nice motion tween, asshole.
I don't know how to hear the words Cold Steel and not see that thing.
He's got a point.
Bradley, do you know that steel can be at low temperatures and therefore cold?
No.
Did you know a blade can be called cold steel?
These are the Roundabout cast fun facts of the day.
Yes. Y'all, I fucking love this game, but it was long. These games are way longer than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
This was an over 100-hour game. I think some of that time might be due to turbo, but I'm not 100% sure. Joe, the last portions, I think we've mentioned on the podcast, this is a slow world-building game, and this is a long series where it's over 9 games that all tell the same storyline in the same world, but with different like characters as the focus. It's got tremendous world building. So the first game of each arc, and Cold Steel's the first game of like the third arc, I think, is supposed to start slow from what I read. And Cold Steel's like very slow and deliberate. You're learning about the world in a school trip scenario. But when that shit pops off near the end, you are glad that they got you invested in this world and like let you know about its politics and its technology and like the conflict that's going on. And there's stuff going on where it's like, ooh, I know this shit is from a previous game I haven't played yet. So it got me really excited to play more. I nearly want to spoil an aspect of the last chapters to you because it was fucking insane. But I got such a joy out of seeing it happen where it's like, I wouldn't want to rob that from you, but like, if 2 months from now you're like, hey, I'm not finishing this game, tell me to tell you what happens near the end, or at least part of it, because it's insane.
Okay.
I immediately went on to Cold Steel 2. I was planning to loop back to the beginning of the franchise, but Cold Steel 1 ends on such a cliffhanger where it's like, no, I can't play 5 games before I get the continuation of this. I need to do it now. So I'm gonna do 2, and apparently 2 ends on like a good spot to go do the loop back around. This segues into, I decided to get 2 on my Steam Deck to get some use out of it, to do some bed JRPGing, as well as couch because it's got the dock. This led to me almost bricking my Steam Deck. So
No.
shit got wild, dude. So the reason why. In Cold Steel 1, when you go in turbo mode during the battles, you speed up your animations for the attacks. And that's very useful because the animations move pretty slowly. And you're going to want to... by the way, Joe, I played 80 hours of Cold Steel before I realized there was a run button.
Oh my god.
But I was just using turbos. I was moving at like a fine speed, but I was like, oh, I could have been moving even faster.
You could have been turbo.
I know, turbo is pretty fast, not gonna lie. I'll admit. But the way turbo works in Cold Steel 2 is every time you attack or someone else attacks you, it actually just skips the entire animation, which sounds really fast. But the games are kind of like complex enough to where you kind of need a little bit of time to process what you just got hit with, because all the attacks do like all sorts of status effects, and it's a very buff, debuff, status element heavy RPG system. Which by the end, like, oh my god, some of those fights were getting really good. It's become one of my favorite like JRPG combat systems, period. So like the skipping, I learned was only a problem with the PC port. It's like, oh, so now I'm running into PC port issues, something that I avoided because like consoles tend to have better quality control. Even if they don't have like good frame rate like a Switch console, like there's rigorous like quality certifications you have to pass to put your game out. Steam is a bit more of a Wild West. And they're not going to address this because the game's been out since like 2017, the Steam release or whatever. But there's a mod for it. So it's like, okay, the mod is not a Steam mod, it's a patcher. Now, the Steam Deck is actually a relatively powerful Linux machine. I've only used Linux for school assignments, so it's like, okay, I need to go into desktop mode, relearn how to use Linux, learn how to do this patcher, all while I'm controlling it with a fucking, basically a PlayStation controller to do, like, all this navigation. I did eventually plug in a mouse. Now, plugging in this mouse was actually Icarus flying too close to the sun. Because plugging in the mouse made me think, wait, why don't I just plug in a computer monitor to the thing and just use it as a computer? So I plug in the computer monitor, and then it's like, hey, I'm changing your display settings. So it changes my display settings, and I'm like, these are kind of scuffed. I play around with the display settings for a little bit longer, and then I just go into the void. I'm in the abyss, all black, no screens up, just a mouse moving in a place where it cannot click on anything. And I turn off my system, I turn it back on, I'm still in the abyss. It saves your settings in between
I'd be shitting myself.
desktop modes.
Shit.
And I'm like, oh god, oh fuck, oh god. I can go back into the Steam Deck storefront, which is like when you turn on a Steam Deck, it gives you like a Switch or a PlayStation like menu, like a normal thing that you navigate through. But when you go back to desktop mode, where I was still in the middle of the patching process, I was in the void. So there is a way where you can... Actually, no, when I got to the void, I couldn't even get back to the store mode. It was that scary. I thought it was genuinely bricked. So I was like, okay, there's a hard button press I can do to reset the entire console, but I was really annoyed about the idea because I just went through all this process to get the patcher ready. Ultimately, I learned that there's a button on the Steam that pops up, not the Steam like mode that you go into, but it pops up the .exe of a Linux Steam exe. Like it pops up a storefront that would pop up on your computer. And from there, I'm able to like navigate my way to folders retroactively to be able to navigate myself somewhere where I can fix the desktop display issues. So all that to say, I almost bricked it just by display settings.
Damn.
That being said, it taught me a lot about the Steam Deck, and I highly recommend it to pretty much anyone. I think it's a fucking dope system.
I want Steam Deck so bad.
I think you'd get a good kick out of it. Another thing is like in Trails of Cold Steel 2, in the first one, speed up was a toggle. In the second one, you have to hold the button. So what I did is I just mapped that button to L3, and then I changed that press from a normal press to a toggle press via the Steam systems. Like,
there you go.
So it lets you customize all that, so that was really cool.
Now you're thinking of Portals.
All right, that was a long story, but I thought it was funny. And then I finished a book that I've been reading called Red Seas Over Red Skies. This is the second book of the Gentleman Bastard series, which I talked about before. That's that book. Lies of Locke Lamora is the first one. It's that book about thieves that I talked about that has like really good prose, really good characters, fantastic dialogue. But I thought the first one was kind of paced weirdly to where there were sections where I was not engaged. But there were sections that were super engaged. This second book fucking rules, dude. This book is so cool. It's become one of my favorite books, I think.
Damn.
And the thing is, I just finished it today. Actually, I'm on the last 10 minutes right now. I was finishing it before the podcast, but didn't have time. I don't know if that's the popular consensus, but basically the layout of this book is Jean and Locke are these two thieves. Locke's the main character. Jean's is like burly best friend. They have the best friendship ever. And Jean's like a fighting badass and really good in the sack, apparently, as we learn in this book, where he has a lot of sex with hot pirate babes. But
cool. A man after my own heart.
I know, right? This book is like they're trying to pull a heist on a casino. This is also taking place in like a piratey setting, like 1400s, 1600s, whenever the fuck all that happened. They don't have guns. They have bows and crossbows, to put it in perspective. There's this super casino. They're doing a long con heist on it. You get thrown into the middle of it. The casino guy catches them. And they're actually like, hey, actually, we have a lot of skill sets. You should probably utilize us instead of killing us. And he's like, gotcha. I'm going to send you to double cross the Archon of the city, who's like, he's the leader of the city. He's got some use for them as well. So he gets them to spy on the bank guy, but also tasks them to go raise a pirate armada so he has an opponent to defeat in an easy battle to get like the morale of his people up and to get more political standing. So Locke and Jean are incredible thieves. They're god thieves. They like worship the god of thieves, and but they're not pirates. So there's this super fun arc where they have to learn how to be pirates because they need to pretend to be captains to get this scheme going, where he's like, hey, I'm gonna let you break into one of my prisons, rescue everyone there, and then you ask them to join your pirate crew, and they will be very likely to join you because they have nowhere else to go, and you just rescue their lives. So they stage that. He gets his pirate crew, and alongside Jean and Locke, there is a old sailing master who's the real captain of the ship. He's like their first-hand mate, but he's really the one who has the experience and is telling them what to do. So they only have to fake it so much because that guy will get the job done. So they start sailing after this rigorous training. The dude has a heart attack, and they have to figure out how to really sail the ship. Now, there's an important thing Locke left in the port before he left to go sailing, and that was cats. Because apparently, if you don't have kittens on your boat, sailors go fucking crazy in this world. They think it's the craziest, like, bad luck if you don't have one woman and cats on your boat. It is bad juju. It's just like a sailor legend, like, that they follow. So they're like, Captain, we haven't seen the cats on board for a while. And Locke's like, oh, they're kittens. They'll come out, like, when they're a little more grown and used to y'all. And then more days come, the captain dies, all the crewmates are like, we know there's no fucking cats in here, this is a mutiny. So they mutiny their asses, and then the story just kicks off from there, and it becomes like this super engaging pirate story, and they're still like playing the casino owner and the Archon against each other as they're doing this piracy shit. It is such a fun adventure, and like miles better than the first book, in my opinion.
So absurd.
The cat shit had me howling. I was like, why are they so worried about these cats? Such a good payoff.
Nice.
All right, we're gonna throw it over to Joe.
Okay, I got a lot. I'm gonna start with my shitty movie block real quick.
Oh wait, the movie block comes later. I mean, do your short ones.
My quick movie block that I have down here. That's literally just like 3 or 4 movies or whatever.
Okay, sure. Go.
Quick talk water. I watched over Thanksgiving the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. Those movies are okay. They're fun. I like them still. They're nothing crazy. But it was nice to revisit them and kind of like, okay, I like them. Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, I think, do good jobs in those movies. I really like Zachary Quinto as Spock, but
I know that's a tough role to fill, and I don't remember if people like him or not. I think not.
I think they don't like the script more than anything. Next up, I watched Ticket to Paradise over the Christmas break with family. This movie was awful. This movie stars George Clooney and what's her name? Julia Roberts. The premise being is like they're a divorced couple, and their daughter like decides to marry this islander guy that she meets on her like post-graduation trip, like a month after meeting him or something like that. It's supposed to be a romantic comedy, but it doesn't know how to actually do any comedy, so it's just boring the entire time that I watched it. I watched 21, which is that blackjack movie from 2008.
Yo, let's go.
That movie is very mid.
That was before Kevin Spacey diddled the kids, but actually after he diddled kids, but before he got blamed.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think this movie is whatever. It's really of its time. It's got all that 2000 cheesiness, but like it tries to have this cool monologue, and it just falls so hard. It's actually kind of laughable nowadays, I think. And the guy who's the main character, I think, is also he's just so out of touch. And then I watched the most Joe movie I've ever seen, which is called The Quick of the Dead. This movie is a Western made by Sam Raimi. It stars Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio, and a few other good stars. And this was like 3 years before Titanic. So this was like when it was like...
What?
Yes. But the premise of the movie is that Sharon Stone plays a woman named Lady who rides into town called Redemption for a gunfighting tournament. So the whole thing is basically just a shonen tournament arc of these Western cowboys and like why their personal legends within the town and Gene Hackman plays the evil town mayor, who's a former outlaw and is really good at gunslinging. It was just a good, fun kind of like popcorn movie I put on late at night, and I really enjoyed it. However, I'm pretty sure anyone who hated She-Hulk would also hate this movie because it has a female protagonist in it. So, yeah, God forbid.
You know, Joe, you should careful.
Yeah. She sleeps with Leonardo DiCaprio within the first 10 minutes of the movie. How dare she? Yeah.
Is she older than 25?
Yeah, he's like, I think, actually, it's Sharon Stone. She's probably closer to like 28, 29, if not 30 in that movie.
You can tell it's fake then.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you went there. I didn't see it coming, even though it was obvious.
All right. And then, so those are all the movies that I did. Doing some quick takes. I got a new game called Detective City of Angels. I've only played this once with other people. This game is... How do I describe this game? This game is basically where up to 4 players are playing what are known as playing detectives and have to solve a mystery. And that mystery isn't necessarily a murder. It could be someone robbed a bank and it's hidden the cash away, so you need to go investigate the places they could have gone. It could be a murder. It could be a blackmail scheme. Each scenario is very different. But then you have another player who is playing someone as the Chisel, who's kind of game mastering the whole thing. And what they do is that you can go up to a character in the game and ask them questions about evidence or other characters, and the Chisel will give you what the response is, and you get to read it. You then have the difficult decision of reading that response and going, I'm going to push or I'm going to stay. And that could be life-changing to your development, because the game master can very clearly lie to you about what that person is saying. If you push and you're correct that they're lying to you or not giving you all the information, you instead get the best information possible from that person about that object. But if you're wrong, the Chisel gains leverage over you, and if you try to ask questions later, he can just deny your questions outright entirely for each point of leverage he has against you.
Very noir, push and pull detective feeling there.
Yes, it's very noir. It's set in the same kind of like 1940s, like 1920s actually.
Sarah.
Yeah, setting. I really like the game. I've only played it once. The problem I have with the game is that like once you have played a scenario, there isn't like replayability for that scenario. Like you know the answers to it, you know who you need to ask questions for, you know who you need to push. There isn't any kind of randomization to it. But there is a lot of them in the pack, and they get pretty complicated.
I guess you could just be like, hey y'all, can we skip this one? I played it. If you liked it, I would like to play it once I'm more social for board games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's on my list of like I need to continue to play this, because I think we talked about it a long time ago, like an Ace Attorney game kind of thing. Like,
I mean, you know me, dog. The less said, the better.
Yes, I think this is the best way to approach that, or one way to approach that. And then I have been reading. So I was reading Chris Claremont's X-Men run, which is like the classic X-Men.
Yes.
What everyone thinks of when they think.
You liked it a lot.
And I liked it. I liked it pretty good a lot. However, I did learn a few things, which is one, man, 1980s comics just suck when it comes to storytelling. But I also realized that Marvel had a thing back then where it's like every comic you have to assume is somebody's first comic ever. So usually the first third of whatever like issue you're reading is usually there to catch someone up to what everyone is doing or who they are.
Right.
And that really slows the pacing down. And then you finally get to the good stuff later. Not saying, and I think Chris Claremont with that restriction did really well. It's just really frustrating when I have to learn about Cyclops' fucking eye beams, Storm's ability and she's African, Kitty Pryde how she's 13, Colossus is Russian, every single issue.
But Joe, did you know if Scott fumbles his glasses, people will be in danger?
Yeah, there's an entire like panel layout where like Scott is clearly like taking his visor off and putting his glasses on, and there is a running narrative over the entirety of these like 4 panels explaining what exactly he is doing.
I feel like you used this exact example on the podcast because I remember clowning on it.
It just sticks to my brain. So I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the X-Men. I have a good foundation on it. I'm gonna skip to modern day X-Men. So that starts with a book called Power of X, House of X. This is what modern day X-Men is about. I'm going to do my best to explain it. Modern day X-Men is Willard. Do you remember a character called Moira McTaggart from X-Men First Class? She is the human character that's like the spy that Professor X has to erase memory of at the very end of the movie.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
So like, and throughout the entirety of X-Men, she's like been this human character that's just been friends with the X-Men and is kind of like their biggest sympathizer and like has been helping Professor X a lot. She gets retconned in the modern universe that she is actually a mutant, and her mutant ability is that whenever she dies, she gets reborn. Like she gets sent back to the moment of her birth and retains all of her memories. And so long as she makes it to the age of 13, she can just like die again and get sent back with the same memories. So you kind of learn that she's been trying to like manipulate the timeline, because every time someone tries to like do their like big kind of dreams, like Professor X with like humans coming together, Magneto with like mutant domination, Apocalypse just blowing up the world, it never ends up well for mutants, and she's trying to find the solution of how to do that.
Even so Professor X one doesn't work out?
Yeah, no, it doesn't work out.
Sucks.
It always ends up with like, and it always comes out to be the same thing, where it's like there's this weird techno virus that comes in and kind of ruins everything, and like the Sentinels get made, Days of Futures Past, yeah. So she finally has the solution. And so she goes back and she tells Professor X, it's like, hey, I've been keeping this a secret from you for a long time. I need you to know what this is. And like actually opens up her mind to him to like see all of her past lives. And they initiate their plan. And so because that she is able to like prove that she's been through these different timelines, they go up to all the different X-Men villains and shares this information. And so their plan is ultimately to move all mutants to the island of Krakoa, where they have their own mutant like country. Fully country has its own economy. Their whole export is like pharmaceuticals. They have embassies that have portals for just mutants that they can walk through and end up on the island. And but that comes with the deterrent of like all these superpowers are now really afraid that all these powerful beings are now centered on one island mass and are all cooperating together. So you get this really big tension of like, oh God, the mutants are actually unified now. They could do whatever they want potentially. It's a very interesting concept. The book does a really better job of explaining like how much of a political crisis this is to a lot of like human countries, and like a lot of human countries don't allow their citizens to go join Krakoa if they're mutant and keep them there and locked up. It still maintains that kind of racial, like, and not even racial, but just like discrimination in minorities that X-Men has always been like really symbolizing. And I've really enjoyed it. I read all of Dawn of X all the way through X's Swords, and then man, X's Swords was great until the last half, and it fucking fumbled it. I was really upset about it.
Seems like a classic comic book.
Yeah, but like, man, like you go through House of X, Power of X, and they split off onto these different books that are really great. Like Kitty Pryde becomes a pirate whose whole job is that she's going to sneak into like hostile countries to rescue the mutants and get them back to Krakoa because they can't access the portals to get there. Apocalypse has a group of mutants like Gambit and Rogue investigating like mutant magic abilities and how that ties into like what they're doing. Wolverine's leading X-Force, and they have to track down the people that assassinated Professor X. Like it's like all up there. I was really enjoying all those storylines, and then I really was disappointed in Ten of Swords. That's the official title of it. But that being said, I've really been enjoying Modern X-Men. I think it's been great. I do think there's some hiccups there about being a comic and everything. But I think overall it's a really good like foundation to just kind of dive in and start reading. I really, really like it. Bradley might actually really like it, I think. But that's just me. The one big complaint I have is I fucking hate Professor X design. Let me find this for you.
Look, leave him alone. He's trying his best.
No. You need to see this shit.
I mean, how bad could it be?
Okay, hold on. It's this. I'm gonna post this in midcast chat. I just. Do you know what that is on his head? I want you to guess what that is on his head.
It's like a portable Cerebro, no?
No, that is Cerebro. Period.
Sure.
Like, it's just so ridiculous. But I get why they do it. So the other thing they figure out is that through like five combined mutant abilities, they figure out how to resurrect people. Like, they can resurrect mutants. And so Professor X has to constantly be like monitoring mutant activity, because if someone dies, he captures like a backup of their memory and is able to like put it back into their bodies once they've remade it again. So it's I really like the storyline. It's a bit crazy sometimes, as comics do. There's a whole arc where Scarlet Witch accidentally resurrects like 2 billion zombie mutants that all have their zombie abilities, and they fight against alien plants, and it's like, God, what the fuck is this? But man, was that a crazy little story.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I just can't take comic books seriously when you tell me shit like that.
No, like,
oh my God.
That was absurd. But like, that was actually a really fun like story, because it was just by a bunch of coincidences, and a bunch of people end up on this island, and it's happening, and everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this happening right now? But yeah, X-Men Modern Era, I really, really have enjoyed, and I'm going to continue reading it. But yeah, that's kind of it.
All right, Tyler, go.
All right, so I watched Terrifier 2 back in like November. I had just heard in circles on the horror movie community I should watch this, and I like to watch horror movies year round. This movie was great. Like, this is just a straight up weird, horrific, a little bit of torture porn slasher movie.
Just a little bit of torture porn.
And I am fucking about it. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's just weird, and I think that's what leans into like some good, weird sci-fi scary horror movies. Like, it's not like suspenseful scary at all, but it is a fun new slasher movie.
How new is I know you've been trying to get us to watch this like all year, actually.
It came out last year, I'm pretty sure. That or 2021. It's very recent. But it's made by this one director who, like, there's this character, he's just a clown guy. I don't want to spoil like anything about it. The main character's a clown. This clown character has been an ongoing character of his. Like, he started in short films with this character all the way back in like 2008, and then he's been like collecting money, trying to get his like stuff out there, and then he got like the first movie, Terrifier 1, which is only like 45 minutes long. It was like straight up like a sci-fi original horror movie type thing. That one, it is very much like a torture porn movie, and it doesn't really have like the finesse that the sequel does. But it you know, it's the beginning. Like, if you want to watch it, you can, but you can also watch the second movie with no context of the first, and I think that leans into like making the movie even more weird. Like, you have to sit there and actually process and think about what's going on. The great thing about these guys' movies is between the first and second one, and eventually the third one, there's literally zero time in between the movies. Like, right where movie 1 leaves off, movie 2 starts. Right where movie 2 leaves off, movie 3 is starting. Like, no time has passed. So it's cool. I would recommend Terrifier 2. I would recommend it with no context. I thought you might need to know some context going into it. You don't. You don't need any. It's great. It's a fun movie.
So there's a third one, and you didn't talk about that. I guess it's not as good.
It's not out yet. It's
Oh,
being made.
okay, cool.
Yeah. After he got the budget for Terrifier 2 after making the first one, and they're giving him a budget for a third one. So I'm excited.
You know, Tyler, I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre on multiple worst movie of the years list. I was just,
Oh man,
I was thinking,
what?
you didn't seem that. You seem to like it in like a stupid way.
Yeah, I think it's like top tier. And I watched what's Critical's the Moisties worst movies of the year, and he had it on there, I think, as like a runner up. And even he was like, "Yo, this movie's bad, but it was entertaining." And I'm like, I think that's like is what can make a bad movie good is if it's entertaining, it's not a waste of time. Some movies can be just straight up wastes of time.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a waste of your time. So yeah, moving on. I am on part 6 of Pact for our Wildbow people. If there's anybody who listens to the core podcast, I'll probably do
any Wildbow talk. I extrude out for the people into its own thing.
Yeah. So I may do a longer talk about it, like while Willer's gone. Maybe me and Bradley. That's our thing that we do.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So this is going to be a plug to keep an eye out for that. But I'm on part 6. There's some bits where like I get that Wildbow lull.
Yeah.
I think part 2 or 3 was like the real victim of that. Like just like what is going on? This is moving slow.
I love Arc 3 so much because it's got the glamour bit and it's got the plot twist of the house. And they're like,
okay,
oh, we can't.
Then it was Arc 2. It was definitely Arc 2.
Arc 2 is a bit of a lull for sure.
Yeah, so it definitely took me getting over that hump. And then, like, holy shit, what the fuck was, like, up with Part 5 being, like, 14 parts, all, like, 40 minutes long?
Is that the prison?
It is...
The hyena.
It is entire 3 days is one arc of doing Conquest's quests.
Oh, that's such a... Because that's got the hyena and paws. I like that bit.
It's Pose.
It's Pose, sorry.
God,
Yeah.
I love that little fucker.
So yeah, part 6. They're in the middle of Conquest's tournament. He's got his cabal going. He's got. He just met up with Maggie, and there's some stuff going on. He's like sussing around.
Maggie's a sussy baka in that arc.
I was so happy to see a familiar face in Toronto, though.
Yeah.
True.
But dude, okay, like there's got to be a lot of fan art of Fell, right?
I don't know.
I've maybe
I
seen
hope
like
there is.
one Fell. I mean, he looks like a pimp, named Slickback, but in silver.
Yeah, like is he not like one of the most like he seems like a Kakashi level tier of popular character. Maybe Wildbow fans aren't into that.
Dude does not give a fuck. Me and Willow.
We love Fell.
I love
In
Fell.
fact, when you finish the tier list, we're gonna show you. Sorry, when you finish the series, we're gonna show you our character tier list, and you can roast it for a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. We'll make an entire day of it.
No.
Yeah, and lastly, a little personal bit, I guess, while we're on quickies. Yeah, moved into the apartment today. Like what I can so far, because I have a moving company coming in. I live in Austin, Texas now. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
It's good. I got a lot of cool stuff around my area. I got P. Terry's to celebrate my day being here. I'm not fully moved out of my other place yet. But dude, for anybody that lives in Austin who listens to this, I got overhead lights. I'm stoked.
Nice.
Because that's not a thing apparently in a lot of places.
No,
in
it's.
Austin.
I was just about to
really
say.
not.
I know so many Austin apartments that have really weird lighting situations.
When I was apartment hunting, I just kind of took for granted that I wasn't gonna have a ceiling light.
Do you remember my first Austin apartment? Like,
Yes.
I had to use natural lighting a lot of the time because it had that weird open window thing going on.
That was kind of fucking cool. It went really
It was
high up into
weird,
the
but I
ceiling.
liked it.
You had the Call of Duty. We had to breach this window to get in this part of the level window.
My life was in danger at all times.
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing. So like I might try and do some rewiring. Because all of the bathrooms, like whenever I turn on the light, it also turns on the fan. And it's not like one of those subtle fan vents. It's like blaring loud fan vent. So like you can't not have it on, and it's really stupid.
It makes it very clear that Tyler's doing his poo-poo time.
No, see, you can't tell that you're doing your poo-poo time, or you just need to take a piss.
Hold on, you
it's
turned
awful.
the vents on to pee?
Dude, you know, but you turn the vents on no matter what. So no matter what you're doing in the bathroom, it sounds like you're taking a poop.
You don't have a choice. I got you.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. It's interesting. I think my living room is actually bigger than. I think my bedroom, the master bedroom, is actually bigger than my living room. It's weird, but whatever.
We'll hang out in there if we visit then.
Dope.
Everybody on Tyler's bed. Let's go.
All right.
This is cool. This is Tyler's first solo apartment in a hot minute, so it's exciting.
Since college days.
You have this childlike wonder of having things near you because you haven't in a while, and it's yeah, Tyler, that's living in a city.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I've never actually lived where things are near me.
True, because even we had Northgate. We didn't know how good we had it.
I had bars near me. I can still there's the metro train near me, and that's a 5-minute walk. But apparently it takes an hour to get to downtown, which it's $3 train ride versus $40 Uber. So I'll take the pros and cons over that.
Sure.
But yeah, dude, there's also you don't understand. Genuinely, everything is near me. I got a Cane's, I got a Terry's, I got a Target, I got a Heb, I got an Alamo Draft House. It's the best.
Oh, look at this. He's so cute.
Yo,
he's so excited.
There is a non-official Lego store, okay? They just, it's called, Minifigs and More. So I think he sells a lot of little Lego people, but he also, I think, just sells individual, Lego parts. I have a game shop near me that closes at midnight. I might go after the podcast to check it out. I've also got a place called Pokemaniacs in this mall that's nearby. It's a couple miles away. It is this big Pokemon plush and trading card store, and I'm so excited to go check that out because I'm I might buy a little Pokemon plush from here every week.
Damn, that'll add up. Motherfucker gonna look like an e-girl.
I'm gonna give them all to my friends though.
Cool. Well, I'm excited that you're excited. Hopefully we can come visit soon.
March 4th.
Hopefully, I'll try to make it.
Be there, be square.
Hey, side note, we have a wedding coming up. What day is that again?
It's I'll tell you the actual date later instead of during this.
Okay. Correct.
It just came to my mind. It's I'm not gonna be able to make that wedding. Depending. So moving on, we'll figure that out in a second. We start the quick talk of the podcast where it's in the back half today. The Scarlett Keys. Who or what is that? Fuck.
This is where Will hates me.
No, I just got the date. Yeah, I have some text to send out.
Yeah. The Scarlet Keys is the latest campaign expansion for the Arkham horror card game.
Whoa, am I going to get spoilers for this if you start talking about it? Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything for this.
Spoil what?
I'm going to join them.
There's a lot of story elements in this game.
Tyler doesn't play Arkham?
No. I'm trying to get him into a game before he leaves forever.
Okay, yeah. I see. Forever, yeah. You'll never see him again. That's true.
Never again. Anyways, so the Scarlet Keys is the most recent expansion for this game. There's two significant factors about this game. The first one is that a lot of the Arkham campaigns, I say a lot, all of the Arkham campaigns were linear in nature. You start at scenario 1, then you went to scenario 2, 3, 4, 5, all to scenario 8. The Scarlet Keys has a more open world-ish format to it, where your first scenario and your last scenario are going to be the same two scenarios, but then everything in between is up to your choice and decision making. And they do that by providing you a map of where you can go and some key locations where they think some incidents are happening. And so you have to You have like basically 35 days to figure out this mystery and use the information you've gathered to then confront this organization called the Red Coterie and try to stop whatever they're doing. So it's really cool because it's like you get to do a lot of scenarios in whatever order you want, and scenarios scale depending on like how much time you've allowed to pass before you move on to the next scenario. And there's a lot of like in between interludes as well that aren't necessarily like scenarios, but they're like very much like choose your own adventure. Like you go up and you meet this guy and he gives you shit. What do? Do you punch him in the face or do you give him $1 for more information? Stuff like that. And depending on how you interact with situations as a group can change certain scenario outcomes. The second most important thing about this is that this is the final campaign for the lead designer, MJ Newman, who had created and ran the game since its inception back in 2017. And she led the design of, this would be her 9th campaign expansion that she made. So that's like 9 whole like campaigns that she has made and developed over the course of 6 years, essentially. So it's a big leadership change. And like you can read the back of the manual, and she has this very well heartfelt, like, this is the campaign I've always wanted to do ever since I started making the game. And once I got the opportunity to make it a big box expansion, this was exactly what I wanted to do, and it was a great way to finish out my time here as the lead of Arkham. So the game itself is, like I mentioned before, is about you are going after this society called the Red Coterie, and a lot of the story is very much reminiscent and feels very much taken from the SCP Foundation, where like you're given these like dossiers of like, this is what subject 32J-46 does. This is what their name is. This is what their aliases is. A lot of stuff has redacted information on it that you can like go onto their website and try to find online. And so it has this really good feel of like this like espionage, like conspiracy kind of thing. And you're going around and you're trying to stop them from basically like causing like erasures of certain items within the world. And you're collecting these different powerful items called keys that have these special effects that characters can bring with them to scenario to scenario to scenario. I've done 2 runs with this campaign with people, and this shit is hard as fuck. It's like one of the hardest campaigns they've ever made.
Probably excites you.
Yeah, it makes me very happy. And every time we've gotten to the end, we have been one fucking kid away from the boss to kill it, and we would have won the entire campaign. And it's just so heartbreaking every time. But like I think the story is really good. It's really engaging. They have secret levels, so they have like 10 scenarios in the campaign, but each scenario has potential like 3 different setups. So you could there's like technically like 15 different like scenarios. Not even 15. There's probably closer to like 20, 25 different scenarios potentially in the game, depending on when you hit certain scenarios. They as well have like secret scenarios hidden where you can't unlock them unless you do a series of events in a specific order in order for you to unlock it. It's a really great kind of like just sit down as an experience, and like you and a few friends just like are able to like be involved with the story. You get to develop your decks, you get to upgrade them, and I really, really like it. And it's hard to talk about Arkham without like experiencing it. Willard's played a few scenarios, but like it really is just like an RPG, but with a deck where you make your character who has this deck of cards that has like their machete, their like drugs, their armor, and they use it to beat these.
The
like,
leveling up in between sessions is very fun and gets you the good chemicals.
It does. It's like you get to look at these plethora of cards, and it's like buying from a shop. And now I've got my like organization set up, so like you open it up, and it is like a card shop where you like pick out the boxes that you want to like pull from. I think if I had some complaints about this, is that for a game that's very Lovecraftian inspired, I don't think this theming is very Lovecraftian. It's pretty, I don't want to say bland, but like I don't get that sense of like weird what's going on as much as I do from like the other campaigns I've played. It feels more like Spy 007 than it does like Lovecraft, which is a little but
it's a shame because I really like that feeling of like having to deal with this giant Cthulhu monster at the end sometimes. The other thing is that like there are so many goddamn words in this. We like will literally have like we'll finish a campaign, we'll finish the scenario, everyone will level up their decks, and then we will have close to an hour of just reading shit in between each scenario. And it's kind of ridiculous. And that's fine on replays because you could just get to a location and see what that is and you've already read it before. But when you're going through blind and you don't know what you're doing, you're sitting there like, is this a scenario finally? Are we moving on to like actual game? Or are we still just like reading stuff and getting random like hints of where we should go next? It's a little frustrating, especially when you're trying to go like, all right, the first scenario took 2 hours. It's been an hour. We haven't played another game yet. And come on, let's get to the next game we want to play. But I've really, really liked it. I'm going to probably end up playing another campaign soon, but I've kind of vetoed and stopped us from playing it again because we're just going to get more frustrated.
Damn.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I want to play it, I want to play it again, but let's play a different campaign if we're going to play Arkham again, because I have 6 other campaigns that need to get played or we can play, and I don't want to play the Scarlet Keys again because I don't want to go through the same opening scenario again and then having to like read the same things again. So I'm just want to put it on the shelf for just a hot minute and let it like cool off for a bit. It's a great campaign. I really, really like it. It's so much reading. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, it probably has close to 200,000 words in it. But yeah, that's kind of it for Scarlet Keys. Really good campaign. Do not pick it up as your first campaign if you're starting this game.
And that's word from the expert himself. You heard it here first.
Professional.
All right. 3 of us played the One Piece Odyssey demo, and the game actually comes out in a couple of hours, and I'll pick it up. However, let's talk about the demos, what it did right, what it did wrong.
Yeah.
It did do things right.
What a promising way to start. It did some things right.
Some things right. No, like, and I think most of us agree on the stuff that it did wrong. Like, dude, playing in the overworld. Like, I get the overworld isn't the main game, the RPG elements are, but like, you gotta make moving around on the overworld feel better.
Yeah, Luffy feels super clunky, and it's weird to do Gum Gum Rocket. You have to go in first person mode, and I feel like they just didn't want to animate like. Or have to calculate Luffy's arms reaching out to an object at the right length or something.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you go into FPS mode for Gum Gum Rocket and not Gum Gum Pistol?
You don't pistol anything in the overworld. You do it for traversal. You like rock around.
You do it to
Yeah.
I was about to say, that would be really cool if like you jump up in the air and you like it puts you in like a first person mode to aim like his Gum Gum pistol like a gun.
That said, the battle animations are fucking badass. I think they really nailed the impact of these moves and like the camera angles. I really like the way the attacks look in battle.
Oh yeah, all the different skills I used, I was like, that looks fucking rad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's clunky to move, but that aside, it's got some promise.
Yeah. For the overworld, did y'all realize there's an auto run setting you can turn on?
I clicked that so many times and it didn't seem to do anything.
It worked for me, but I don't think you run much faster. So
no, because there's also a sprint button, and I was clearly moving faster.
Oh. Wait, are you talking about like the auto run? Sorry. In settings, there's a button that just makes it so when you move, you're automatically running.
Oh, I need to do that.
Oh, in settings, there was... Oh,
yes.
And I bet that setting lets you click the button in.
Probably, yeah.
Because they're in the tutorial, it's like clicking the stick to move around.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked is the zone battle system. I think this is really clever.
Yes.
It lets you set up these little anime-like scenarios where it's like, okay, Luffy's fighting one enemy, Robin and Zoro are fighting another enemy, and Brook is fighting a 4th enemy, and they're all doing like these mini battles, and you have to figure out like, okay, Robin could do a long-range attack and help Brook, but then she's gonna take hit from this enemy in front of her that's ready to go. And you got a lot of flexibility of when your people can do their moves. However, that also people who have reviewed the game said introduces something that can kind of trivialize the game, is that because you have free switch and free turn order, I think you're able to completely shuffle around who's in each zone. So it's like if you have a bad zone layout, by using the switch system before you even do an attack, you can completely switch like each position your party's in, I think. And
I think
that does seem like a big oversight.
I think it might be you can swap somebody out, and I don't think it takes any actions or anything. I think that's the big thing.
I think you can swap as many people out per turn as you need.
Exactly. Yes.
But the thing is, Joe, so say I swap Zoro and Luffy, but then like I will put Luffy where, like, then I can swap someone else. Like I can then put Zoro in the back line, then rotate him in, all without doing a single attack. Like I could completely move where one of the party members is.
Yeah. No, that's why I think that's how I think that's
I could see that trivializing it. And also, I hear the game doesn't get very hard, which is a bummer. Like I was expecting it to get hard, but it totally seems like the kind of game where it's like it's so easy that you don't have to utilize the system well, which sucks.
The ingredients are there for like a really cool and challenging RPG.
Yeah.
One thing Joe mentioned is that like it really captures that feeling of One Piece battles where like the crew gets separated and they have their own conflicts to resolve that they're trying to resolve as quickly as possible so they can help the other parts of the crew.
Yeah.
And that's what the zone part of the encounters really helps with. And also I really hope the full game has more of those special scenarios. Like
I hear it does have plenty of those.
And it's really cool because I think I told y'all my main fear going into the demo was like, how do you make a turn-based RPG feel like a One Piece battle? And that's kind of how they did it. It's like, oh my god, we gotta get over there and help this person over in that zone, but we're over here in this zone. I think this would totally, I feel like this would totally change the flow and feel of the combat encounters, but it might solve some of the problems with how many free actions you get to take. Moving people around is like, I don't know if like Big Mom is charging her big attack and it's gonna kill this person in 2 turns, and it's like, oh my god, I have to figure out how to both get over there and stop this attack in the next 2 turns.
I was already doing the demo. There's this fight where you're fighting a bunch of squirrels. It's like, oh, Chopper's gonna get killed by this thing if I don't like get to him fast enough, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that the demo didn't let you play around with like, because I've read and saw in a review and like they put out these system trailers, like all the crew members can do something, like they all have like a outside of battle function that they perform, like Usopp making little battle items you can use, Sanji cooking buffing dishes, and that collecting ingredients and like having the crew do stuff and having them do little dialogue boxes as they interact is really charming and something I liked in the Wii One Piece game that I liked back in the day. But I didn't get to see how that plays in the demo at all because that's not even unlocked, unfortunately. And I hear that the main story gets pretty good, but that the visiting other islands gets repetitive. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
I will say I did find myself getting excited about like the tiny stuff that was in the demo. Like they mentioned like, oh, whoever made this statue must have also been on Skypiea or Gaia, and I'm like, that's so cool.
I hear the lore kind of actually fits into real One Piece lore, which Oda's doing a lot of that these days when he's working on side projects. He's like, hey, at least I'm going to give you something to flesh out the world like in a semi-canon format.
I'm glad that he has some kind of oversight there.
Yeah, like because some of those early movies are just so non-consequential, and like other One Piece game stories are like, this is giving me nothing. And like a big worry I have with these kinds of games, like, are they just gonna have the dialogue be the most bland possible? And I've seen some things I already like in the dialogue, like Usopp genuinely made me laugh twice with some of his gags. And of course they gotta do like the, hey, Zoro and Sanji are fighting, haha, you gotta get that in there, and like Sanji's gotta get his simping in. But I feel like after they introduce that early, I'm expecting some more fun dynamics and interactions as it goes on, because it just kind of feels cool to travel around with Straw Hats and vibe with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will let y'all know in the next podcast, and I'll let you guys know as friends how the game turns out in general.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking like, all right, how am I gonna have to kneecap myself to make the combat more challenging? Because I don't want like remove complete features, and it's like, well, maybe I just don't switch in battle. Like maybe that's what I'll do there. And,
I think one switch per battle or one switch per round.
You know me, dog. Gotta go above and beyond for these baby RPGs.
We gotta make sure these Japanese kids can play the video game.
I could also just not use like the equipment system, but I think that completely removes Robin's like side mechanic, which would be a bummer. Yeah,
that ain't happening for me, dog.
Robin deserves the world, so I can't do that. All right, Mosaic is a board game that Tyler and Joe played.
Fuck yeah, let's fucking go. So I'm gonna make Bradley play this also with me maybe tomorrow and like actually go kidnap him. So Mosaic is Civilization in board game form, but it's not Civilization the board game.
Right.
If that makes sense. Joe calls it a Euro game?
Yes. Euro
So,
game is, real quickly, a Euro game is a game that focuses on maximizing like a system or a production, usually victory points for victory. So like Food Chain Magnate is a Euro game because you're maximizing your money. There is usually no randomness. There's usually no randomness or very little randomness in Euro games, and try to minimize it as much as possible.
There's a bit of randomness in Mosaic that I really like. Joe probably is not the biggest fan of it.
No, I like it. I like the game.
Oh, I mean the randomness.
No, that randomness is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
So basically, you all have like a civilization. You try to get the most points, you win the game. You get the wood, you win the game.
Of course.
So you get your starting cities. You can have resources around them. You build towns and stuff. But it's like you can only build what's on the board. So like there's only 5 build options at a time. There's only 5 tech options at a time. There's 2 population options, and there's 2 options to gain money. And it's like out of all those options, like you take turns picking one of those. So like once one is taken, you replace it with a different option out of like another deck of cards. And so it's a little bit like Seven Wonders, where like you can only draft the cards that are on the board, but you have to wait your turn as you're building out your civilization. Mm-hmm. There's lots of like player achievements to get along the way. There's like wonders you build, and it really gives you that. It really feels like I'm playing a game of like not even Civilization. I would say Civilization Revolution, like that was on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to describe it, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's a Civilization Revolution type board game, and you get to play it in like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. We played it very late at night. Was it Monday?
Yeah, I wanted to play it, but I was really tired. I would not have left.
Good thing you did not. I think Joe left at 2 a.m.
I did. I was having a migraine that night too, so I was really kind of running on fumes at the end there. I really like the game. I think the game is actually surprisingly very simple to play and understand. I think it can go over people's heads sometimes of like, it's like, what do I do? It's like, just you make stone, you look at these 2 things, you add them together, and that's it. And that is your turn. That is your action. You are very committed to like doing one thing per turn, but that makes you think a few more turns ahead of what you do. Is something I really like in games. And I like it more than Seven Wonders because I can see the board. I can see how the players are interacting with each other. Like there's like a conquering influence like system where like it's set in the Mediterranean like sea area. So like in each section of the board is split up into regions, and you want to have control of a region to score points midway through the game. And so I think that's a good like set of like interactivity of like being able to like, that person's going there. Am I going to try to contest that, or am I going to sacrifice that area to them? This person's coming to my area. How can I block them out? Do I need to spend money on military? I don't have any money. I think there's a lot of really good like layering. There's a lot of simple decisions that layer on top of each other that make a really good game that provides a lot of complex solutions.
It's a lot of building up too. Yeah. Like everything is always moving forward, and even with like military and influence and stuff, like there's very rarely any moments where you detract from other players. And I think that's very positive. There's no like one way you're gonna fuck over someone specifically. I think I found the way to do that last time we played. Like my leader has an ability where they just kind of take over one person's city, but their requirement is like they have to have 5 cities. So that's a pretty steep requirement. But yeah, the like different leaders, everybody kind of goes for different things, which is really cool. I think once everybody's played like once, I think the second time around, everybody's kind of gonna have like a good gist of what they're gonna do, and it'll be really fun and competitive.
Well, it's you know how the system works, so you know what to go for at that point.
I mean, I've played it twice now. You have too, Joe, and I think it's really respectable that you and I both are like, we're gonna try something the complete opposite of what we did the first time we were playing. Just to see if it works.
And we both got smoked.
Oh, we got our asses handed to us. But we also learned new rules about the game for future playthroughs, which I think is great.
Also, it helps when you remember your passive bonus and don't forget about for the first 5 turns of the game. You're like, oh, fuck, I missed out.
Yeah.
In the 50% of my resources game. But
live and learn. Joe can't read them all.
Yes. If I were to give like some small complaints, one is I mentioned military. Military is pretty passive. Basically, 3 times in the middle of the game, you do this thing called empire scoring, and you basically determine who has control over a region, and that is determined by the number of cities you have in that region, plus the number of military units you have in that region, and whoever has the higher number wins. Like cities are worth 2 points, and military units are worth 1. And that's all kind of military is there for. And so it's pretty much just like, oh, I put this guy down and I move him over here, and then he just kind of lives there forever. And there's not a lot of interaction in that part of the game. I wish there was a little bit more, but that's just me wanting to be seeing pieces on the map, and I want them to like start fighting each other kind of a thing. The other part is that this thing is a bitch to set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I helped the setup before I left. That was a meaty setup.
Man, like it's... There's what, like 100 tiles, 100 spaces on this fucking board, and at the beginning of the game, you have to cover the entire board in these fucking tokens, and then flip all these tokens back over, and then you have to remove 75% of them. Like, it's such a pain, and I understand why, because you need to seed the world with like randomized resources, but it is just one of those things where it's like, all right, while I teach you the game, number 1 and number 2 over here are going to spend the next 20 minutes putting these small load tokens on the board. So let me talk to you about this for a hot minute. But it's, that, and there's just some very small, like, wording discrepancies. The word city gets tossed around a lot. And city, city can either mean a port city or a city that is landlocked and not a port. But sometimes those terms are interchangeable. Like if you're counting victory points, you count port cities and regular cities. But if you're buying a card that says build a city, that means you just build a regular city. And if you buy a port city, you can only build a port city. So those two are different. But then there are some other abilities that only target landlocked cities. Like it's kind of like its naming, its conventions of like telling what things are isn't consistent in our minds. Like there's sometimes where it's applicable and sometimes that's not, and I just wanted to be more clear as to when those are.
Yeah,
like Tyler's ability, for example, allowed him to steal a city from somebody. Okay, can he steal a port city? It doesn't say steal a city or a port city, it just says a city. So in that instance, does it count both? Like he can do either or can he only do a landlocked city? Like do
other cards say landlocked city?
Nope.
No, they just say city. That's the problem. They just say city.
I guess that's not a port city.
Yeah, or it is.
No, it is. We don't know.
You know what? One day you'll know.
This does sound fucking cool though. Like after I finished my last Civ game, which took like 50 hours, I really wanted to do another one. But I didn't want to play, I wanted to play another Civ game, but I didn't want to play another Civ game because I don't got that much time. So this really feels like it would scratch that itch.
Yeah, I really like it. Tyler also got the Colossus version of the game, which comes with highly recommend. Because the regular version just comes with these cardboard cutouts, and I don't think I'd be able to like actually read the board as easily if there weren't like miniatures like walking around, because you need the comic boots.
Yeah, the Colossus edition was a Kickstarter special edition. Just so you know, you can still because let me do a plug here. Either check your local board game store for it. That's what I did. Or coming to Fix Joe's #1 issue with the game is the Mosaic expansion coming out this April. Wars and Disasters expansion, which expands upon the military concept of the game. It has 104 new miniatures, including 2 new wonders, 2 new towns, and naval units, naval powers, disaster cards, and 26 new tech cards, and 12 new build cards. Oh, bleh! And with this new Kickstarter, you can even do a late Kickstart and get the Colossus edition.
Use our code RBCast for 17% off.
Don't do that. We don't have any discount on it. I just like the designer's work, and I think he did a really great job with this game and knocked it out of the park.
For sure.
Do
you think a podcast of under 1,000 subscribers could get ad reads? Because we'd be really good at it. Reach out to us, please.
Glenn Drover, at me on Twitter.
It'll pay for some meals.
Yeah, I think every game should have what Fantasy Flight does with their board games. Is it should come with the learn to play guide or the read this book to learn the rules, and the other book called the rules reference, which gives you a glossary, appendix, and definition of every like term within the game, because that helps so much in figuring out those rules discrepancies of like, when you say city, do you refer to anything that has the word city in it or just landlocked cities? Like, what does that mean in what context? That's all I want in board games.
Some constructive feedback.
Yes, just give me a book with your terms on it. Like, even the word then. Like, what does then mean?
Oh man, we were going about a Yu-Gi-Oh card for a little while, not too long ago. But anyways, let's move on. Mosaic seems great. Joe, you and I both watched Wednesday, the TV show, and I really liked it.
Yes. I did like it. I actually liked it like fairly enough to consider a rewatch or just start on the background when I'm doing stuff.
It's got a great aesthetic and vibe, especially those first 4 episodes, because they're directed by Tim Burton, I'm pretty sure, and you can feel it. He gets creative.
Yeah.
Wednesday is an Addams Family show. It's a reboot that focuses on Wednesday Addams. I am not the most well-versed in Addams Family, but I know that they exist and their basic character traits. Which is maybe why I like the show, because I heard some people that don't like it is because they don't think it faithfully represents the core vibe of some of these characters. But without that, like, I enjoyed it. Wednesday's a very morose, grim character, and like that's where a lot of her humor comes from, and I got a kick of it. Like, it's formulaic. It's like, oh, here comes the Wednesday, like, cheeky line. But it doesn't really get old. Because it stays consistent throughout.
I think part of that, too, is that Jenna Ortega does, like, a great job of, like, maintaining that charm, but, like, also that deadpan delivery of her lines.
Yeah, she's killing it, for sure.
Yeah, so you're just, like, every time she talks, even if it's the most monotone thing, just the way she says it, it feels very fresh, and I think she does a great job.
For sure. And I didn't expect the show to be a detective show, because Wednesday, not only does she write detective novels as like a 14-year-old or whatever, she also has some mysteries and murders to solve in her boarding school that she gets sent to.
Yeah.
And there's some cool stuff to the mystery. There's some stuff where you have to suspect or disbelieve, like a mayor gets attacked and then is left alone to be assassinated in a small town where they're like, they have nothing going on. They would all be protecting the mayor.
They put up a statue of a racist.
Well, I think every city in America has a statue of a racist. But there's also like an interesting world building element to this show where it's like, okay, there's humans and there's supernatural humans, and we know they kind of exist. They keep to themselves. We're not hunting them down actively, though we did in the past. So it's
but we don't like them.
but we don't like them. Get them off our turf. So there's like genuine werewolves, gorgons, mermaids, like other bee manipulators is one of them.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Adam's family lore, but I've always wondered that myself. I'm like, how does everything there work?
Well, so the actual Addams family is not that supernatural. I think
they're just like, kind of weird.
They're just kind of goths, and then there's like a Frankenstein guy maybe in the family, like, well, but and a moving hand.
Yeah, I don't think calling them not supernatural is accurate, considering they have an actual hand butler that moves around the house.
But that's it, right? I can draw a line at hand butler.
They have It, which is a hairy thing.
Oh my god, It. Yeah.
Good old cousin It.
That's not even referenced. Maybe it is in the show, but
I think it might be referenced in like a line about like its hair or something like that.
I do hope future seasons bring in more of the family. And I'm cool with them focusing on Wednesday, and I'm also cool with her having her own thing going on as she's growing up and she's going to school. But I do want to see their take on some of these other characters. I like their cameos in the show. I like the mysteries surrounding Morticia and Gomez. I thought that was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. I think it was just a very well structured, like, kind of mystery show.
I liked her friendship with Enid a lot too. I thought it was
Enid was another character that I really liked as well. I thought it's really easy to make Enid like a very annoying, like happy-go-lucky girl. But I think they did a really good job, because the one scene that stands out to me is that like she's going to go on a date with, I forget what that guy's name is.
He's a Gorgon boy.
Yeah, he's a Gorgon boy, but he accidentally like
stone himself for the night.
Stones himself, and she gets really upset, and she like slashes like the car tires, and like
because she's a werewolf who.
Yeah,
there's like, a weird like you're going to therapy camp to wolf out because you haven't yet. It's like, what is this is a weird analogy right now, but sure.
But she's like she's the optimistic character, but you can very clearly tell that she is still going through things, which is a really good take of like that character who's always optimistic, but like she is active. Like, no, I kind of fucking hate that I haven't been able to turn to a werewolf yet, and this guy like blew me off on the date. It's like, okay, she's
like so ready to start doing like teenage dating things, you know, like she's ready to get in there, but she's like not quite found her stride.
She's in that awkward phase. It's like, oh, okay, good. We have an optimistic person that's an actual human being. Ironically,
I think Bradley would enjoy this show, and he would like Enid.
I think so too. Man, that B-boy though.
Oh, the B-boy is Tyler's in the show, I guess.
Tyler, if you've never had sex.
What?
That's
never mind. We did this joke last time. I remember.
We did. I really like the show. I'm actually kind of looking forward to season 2. Are they going to stick to the boarding school thing? Also, a lot of people die in this show. I think too much, because there's a few people that I would really like to see in season 2, but whatever.
Fuck yeah, especially her. Did she die? She died. Yeah.
That was a good twist though at the end there with that character.
I was feeling it because they give you 2 options by the end, but you know, a small gripe about people watching mystery shows: they will have a theory, jump off of it 3 or 4 times, just completely guess everything, and then the truth comes out, and they're like, "I knew it," and it's like, well, duh, like, it has to be possible, so you thought about it at some point, but you're not this genius person who knew it. You jumped from ship to ship multiple times. Just, mystery viewers are weird, and they'll be like, yeah, that was predictable.
They want to be smart.
We'll talk about Glass Onion in a little bit, but it's like, oh, Glass Onion was predictable. I was like, you did not fucking guess the actual twist of Glass Onion, because that's unguessable. Like, there's barely anything to go off of.
Anyways, Wednesday, good show. Enjoyed it a lot.
Tyler, how did Blue Lock turn out?
Oh man, I'm still going in. Blue Lock had a twist into it after the first section. Mm-hmm. That was like in the first section they had me going, man, how are they gonna keep this up the whole time? And then they added a twist into it. I was like, oh, that's how they're gonna keep it going.
You know what?
I don't think the twist is for everybody.
I'm mixed on the show, because I really like sports shonen, and this is like the anti-sports shonen where it's like, actually fuck teammates, it's all about you. It's like early Attack on Titan. It's even from the same magazine as Attack on Titan. But for sports shows, it's like, I don't know if this is my vibe, but I really like the art.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same as other sports anime.
And I'm glad, actually. There's room for that to be explored. It's just not necessarily for me.
Yeah, but I will say, the one thing that this show does have going for it is nonstop hype. Every episode in this first season has been a banger. It's nonstop. It's nonstop action.
Can you spoil the twist for me? I think I need it.
So how the premise... All right, so this is going to be spoilers for anybody listening from here on out. So how the premise goes is there are like 250 athletes at Blue Lock, and they have teams W, X, Y, and Z like playing in this tournament to try and survive.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what's going on in like 2 other buildings or 3 other buildings, and the 2 other buildings.
Technically, there's 26 teams, one for each alphabet letter.
Yeah. So, like some of the like in the other buildings are also trying to survive and doing this same type of gauntlet tournament. And I'm like, man, they're really going ham in this tournament, and they're like trying really hard. And I'm like, how is the like manga going to create newer, better characters for like the rest of like the other buildings?
So let me stop you there. Is the twist that, hey, this 26 team was only part of 1/4 of the entire Blue Lock system, and there's other 26 teams going?
What do you mean?
Like I'm imagining there's multiple Blue Locks going on at the same time for other countries or something, and that's how they could expand it.
Oh, no.
Maybe in the future. I'm getting ahead of myself, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's that they were introduced and said that there was 26 teams going on in this one. The actual twist is that there's only 5 teams. There's not 250 people there. There's only like there was only like 80 people there, and they've already cut them down to like half. So there's like only 40 people left in Blue Lock.
Oh, that's weird. That's like the opposite of like, how is this manga gonna keep going? It's like, oh, we're gonna end soon, actually.
Yeah, like it's gonna keep going. They've introduced some side characters that I think are gonna bring it into the real world after they're done with Blue Lock. Like, I want it to get into real world soccer, but they've introduced the main antagonist right after they did the twist. And like we've seen, so right now they're in the second stage. So like all the 2s in like the 3-digit numbers have been replaced. So like the main character went from like 44 to like 15. And so like in the second part, they have to do like drills and stuff that get progressively harder. And so like they either get better at these drills and like survive and move on, or they just don't even get to like past the warm-up phase.
Yeah, I guess a good way to describe Blue Lock, and we might have said this before, it's a battle royale made into a sport, basically. Anime. Yeah, which is interesting.
So what's currently going on now is they have to manually form teams of 3, like a team of 3 based on the people who completed the warm-up exercise. And it's like whoever comes through, it's like you can pick whoever you want. You don't have to join anybody, you know? But then you have to go on and compete in a 3v3 match, and whoever loses a teammate and has to go backwards. And so they only have 2 people, and they have to pick a third. They have to play against another group of 2 people again. They have to play against another 2v2 team and like steal a person to move.
I think what's interesting about that is like you've now pared down the characters, and you're going to see a lot of familiar faces and get to flesh them out. So that's cool.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really like, it's like, that is the good part of sports anime, where we get more in depth on each character and we get to see them growing. And that's the arc we're in.
Sports manga and anime are actually just the vehicles for the best characterization in anything.
Yeah. In Kuroko style, we've met the big 3.
The like, generation of miracles.
Yes. Yeah, we're at the Generation of Miracles, and we met the number 1, 2, and 3 players. They are just crazy people. Like, not like at the game of soccer. No, they're just insane people.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
that's a given the writing style of the story. I knew they'd be insane.
oh yeah, and they're not like only the number one guy is like, oh, soccer is life, you know. But the other two
Football
guys,
is life.
yeah, he's like football is life. He's like or death, you know.
Yeah.
And then the other two guys are just straight up good anime tropes to have in those slots. I'm digging it, you know. I'm really excited for this arc because the author created a scenario where the main character is allowed to lose more than once.
Yeah, that is good actually
I like
because because we mentioned it was like a battle royale, so you run into this problem where it's like, yeah, well the character needs to win a lot more than lose to progress, but we're now in this point it looks like where he's gonna take some L's and have to grow.
Yeah, like we were watching an episode and I forgot to finish it and Circuit was like, "Hey, you finished it?" I was like, "I thought I had, but I didn't." And then she spoiled the end for me and I was like, she was like, "Oh, I didn't see this coming." And I was like, "Oh no, like I predicted exactly what was going to happen this episode." Like because that's just like it's really good writing. Like even because it's predictable doesn't mean it's bad, you know? Like I was very entertained.
A good writing will guide your hips to their location in a natural way.
Yeah. The animation is fucking lit. They have some nice mixed in shitty 3D animation in some parts, and I'm a big fan of that
style for sure. And the character designs are good too.
It's an anime where it doesn't have a lot of like still frame shots, and I'm a fan of those.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I'll
kinetic.
take 3D animation. Yeah, I'll take 3D animation over still frame shots any day.
Well, hold on, no, I wouldn't go that far.
I like shitty 3D animation. It's entertaining to me. I look at them and I go, "Oh, look at how shitty those guys look."
Bradley, we are talking to a man who hasn't struggled before. Like, he doesn't know what it's like to be Berserk 2016. If Joe's back, which
I am,
let's talk about the Street Fighter 6 beta real quick.
Ah.
The actual best game of 2022, the beta of Street Fighter 6. Every couple of days, Joe and I would just message each other. It's like, man, I want to play Street Fighter.
So
it sucks. It's so far away.
It does suck. So as background, Willer's played way more Street Fighter than I have in his life. Whereas like I've only really played Street Fighter 5
a little bit,
and really Guilty. Yeah, and really Guilty Gear is like the one like kind of like fighting game that really like stuck around for me, I would say. Like it's the one that kind of clicked. I was able to like, I can do combos, I can climb and stuff like that.
But I feel like it was cross tag that got you a little loosened up. I miss cross tag.
Cross tag definitely like kind of shook things around, but Guilty Gear is what made everything click into place for it.
Joe climbed on that one.
Yeah. But like I play Street Fighter 6 and it's like, but sorry, getting back, Street Fighter 5 was always one of those games where it's like I can see what's really good here and I keep trying to do it, but like the inputs are really tight and there's a level of like just like skill gap that I am not at this current time.
It was mechanical. You had the theory down, but you couldn't execute.
The executions just weren't there, and that's on me. Like I just was not built for Street Fighter 5 as a human being at this point. But like Street Fighter 6, playing that, it's just like everything that I've wanted to do in like Street Fighter normally, I'm like starting to come around and being able to do. Where I'm at the point now where it's like I just need to figure out how to start in my like setups.
Everything except wake up DPs as I learned to exploit.
Yes. And it's gotten it feels really good, and I like its multimeter management, which when Willer first described it to me in a bar,
I guess I did.
That seems really strange, and I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to like constantly be able to like keep track of the two, because in the game you have the drive gauge and you have your
super meter.
I guess super meter.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called. And the super meter does what the super meter do, which is it lets you do your like special moves and special attacks.
You
like,
have 3 supers per character, and for every character it's 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, and you have to you can only go up to 3, so you have to kind of pick and choose what super you're kind of building your strategy around.
Mm-hmm. So like, but it's only done for that. Whereas everything else, which is like the super armor drive punch, the dash cancel, the counter system,
systems and EX moves are all tied to the overdrive gauge or the drive gauge.
So which is great because it's like, oh, this is literally everything. This is literally just for the supers, and those are detached far enough in my mind and what they're used for that I don't have to worry about always constantly looking at my super meter. Because generally you just need one bar to do.
However, you have to look at the drive meter way more than you've ever had to look at a super meter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because blocking chips away at the drive gauge, so strategies are made. Like, you have to make so many on-the-fly strategies and adjustment based on what your meters are like and your opponents, and on top of your spacing on the map right now, where you're strongest at, closer, like far. It's just like a mix of good neutral, fun combos, and a lot of swag and personality. Like, you can play characters very differently from each other and succeed.
Yeah. It's come together, and it makes me very excited to see what the rest of the game is looking like. Also, the fucking netcode was awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
chef's kiss.
I hear some people were having problems, but you and I never had problems when you and I were fighting against each other, and I never had problems online against random people either.
Yeah, I played a ton of online. I had 2 bad matches, and you can chalk that up to, I mean, it's a beta, so there will be hitches.
Yeah.
And, I mean, nothing's going to save you from a bad Wi-Fi warrior. Like, rollback will help you, but it won't fix everything.
It won't save you. Yeah. I think I played significantly less than you, Willer, but I think I only ever had one really just like, oh god, get me out of this match kind of a scenario.
I went pretty ham, and it was a busy weekend, so like I had to really get in there at night and kind of do what I usually don't, which is like play a whole block of like 4 to 6 hours of a game. I usually take breaks. But I was like, no, I don't have much time. And I did get to platinum by the end of the beta where shit got real.
I did not, but I was playing Ryu, which is the shoujo character.
Shoto, not shoujo. You're not
shoujo.
Reading Berserk.
Yeah. Shoto character, which is not necessarily my wheelhouse of character I like to play, unfortunately. But I had a great time. I'm very looking forward to July.
June 2nd.
June. Okay. Not as bad as July.
But still,
Yeah.
It sucks because they're going to make this great single player. Like, the single player is going to be great for people who pick it up but don't want to play online. Yeah. Like, it's something I could see, like, Bradley getting into if it was, like, the JoJo game had something similar. Like, it's create a character, and I made a big booty babe. And she looked delightful, and I'm looking forward to customizing her moves.
Dude, people made some unique looking motherfuckers.
There's also some some bloodborne enemies in the mix too.
Yeah.
But like, it just sucks because it's like, that's gonna be great, but I'm not gonna use it nearly as much as just fighting people. It's like, you almost half wish that they would do an early release that's just the online features and put the story after. But Street Fighter V was hurt a lot by doing that strategy, so that's why they can't do it. So just kind of it's tough.
I would definitely buy an arcade version that was like $40 and it was just the online components of the game. But
yeah, but then no one's gonna buy it. Like a large portion of people won't buy the single player if it's not packaged in. Yeah. So they're stuck in a tough situation. And look, the end product's gonna be delightful with just 8 characters in a beta. I was having a ton of fun.
Yeah. It was a great time.
And the release roster will be like 18, so it's going to be...
This isn't the Reach for the Moon engine, right?
It is a Reach for the Moon engine game, I believe.
Okay.
That is the RE engine, which you would think stands for the Resident Evil engine because it's Capcom, but no, it's the Reach for the Moon engine.
Yeah.
But
I think the next Monster Hunter game is going to be in this engine, so if they keep that character customization...
Oh shit! Those characters in Monster Hunter, that's gonna be wild.
Oh my god!
Man, they've had some good character customizations over the years. Anyways, let's move on. I also finally got into King of Fighters 15, which I've never played a King of Fighters, but I've always thought among the fighting game rosters, the King of Fighter characters are like top 3 coolest looking, for me. So and the roster's big, and they added the cool pirate chick from Samurai Showdown. So I was like, now's the time. Man, I just don't think I vibe with the neutral game in Samurai Showdown. It's a 3v3 game, but the way it works is you do
in Samurai Showdown or King of Fighters?
King of Fighters.
Okay.
King of Fighters, you do like 3 sets of 1v1s. So, and you get a bit of health back if you survive the round. So you could technically use one character to beat all 3 of theirs. So you have to kind of save your meter for, like, you could have like a meter builder for your first character, and then like kind of go ham on the second and third, or like build strategies around that. You can also change the order of your characters. We've played something called Smash. What is it? In Smash Brothers, there's this mode called Smash Strike, I think. It's like that. However, speaking of Smash Brothers, the thing I really don't like is that so much of the neutral King of Fighters is based off of short hops. You need to be constantly short hopping. It's your offense and your defense, and the game is very much built around that. Normals are very weird and stubby a lot of the time, so you have to utilize that movement, and there's no short hop macro. So you have to, like, tap the shit out of that jump button, and guess what? I'm not good at that. I do full hops. It makes for a frustrating neutral experience, and I'm just like, oh, I really like these characters, and there's multiple characters. I tried a bunch of them in training mode and did their combo missions. It's like multiple characters I'm into, and I'm just not feeling how it feels to move around. Also, it's got the dreaded King of Fighter pretzel motion, which none of you have ever had to put up with, but a pretzel motion is my least favorite fighting game input. And there's this cool badass punch girl that I wanted to play as, but she's a charge character with pretzel motions for her supers, and I'm like, this is just too much.
The fuck do you do that?
Oh, dude,
tentacle?
You don't even worry about it, because you are blessed by not having to play games that have it.
Fucking A, bro. I just looked that up.
It's like down. It's like 2 half circles, but you have to do them very specifically. It's just annoying to do in the heat of a combo. And the links, like, this game has 3-frame links, so you have to be inputting that within 3 frames of an attack. Sometimes it's like, no, I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm not built like that.
I'm done. Do you see?
All right, talk about this Defunctland video that you both watched about. Oh wait, I watched this one too, didn't I?
You watched half of it, you said. I think.
Is this the Garfield one or the Disney Channel Toon one? I watched the entirety of that.
The Disney Channel Toon one.
Yes.
Right.
I watched that.
Yeah. So this actually came out like 2 months ago at around Thanksgiving.
Guess what? This podcast came out 2 months ago.
Defunctland is a channel on YouTube who specializes in doing documentaries / history style videos about old amusement park rides and like the history of like how they were made, conceived, developed, how they did during the run, and then what ultimately led to them falling out of favor or being dismantled or being changed in some variety. So that's what he normally does. And then like every year he does like a wild hair video. Like I think 2 years ago he actually did a whole documentary series about the Jim Henson Company and like the Muppet Show, which was a really good documentary. This year he did one about the Disney Channel bumper tune, which is the tune that plays in between the Disney Channel shows. So like basically they're like, up next is Kim Possible, dun 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 dun. It's that music right there.
Joe, you just got us sued.
Yeah, baby. So, and the point of the video is that like this is like a jingle that a lot of people heard in their youth, and that if you heard it like walking down the street or on television, you knew you were watching Disney Channel or someone had Disney Channel on. Who is this guy that made this, and like how did he come up with this tune? And so it's this wild hunt of this guy going on the search for this one dude in particular, and it kind of ends up being the theme of like, how do you want to be remembered as a creator, and what does it mean for like people to just kind of decide what you're remembered for, almost. And like,
and that's like, I look, the whole internet loves this video, so I hate to be that guy, but it's like, I just don't see how the video led up to that theme as deeply as it did. Maybe it's just me, but I'm like, I don't know, the guy hasn't publicized it, so like, or whatever, like, the information's just not out there, but it also doesn't seem like the person particularly cared about that.
right. And the point is being like, and big spoilers for that video. I'm just gonna say it's necessary. Is that like that guy's dead? Like he died, and and it's mentioned that like a lot of people worked with him, and a lot of people say he did great work. He was really good at his job, and people remembered him fondly. And he kind of comes to this realization of like, I'm gonna make this video that's going to be like, this is the guy that made the Disney Channel theme, but that might be what that guy is remembered for.
Yeah,
and like, does he want to have the responsibility of like making that guy's legacy? And like, is he really proud of actually doing this? Because he even mentions like he probably made that tune on a Tuesday in like 30 seconds, gave it to Disney, and didn't think of anything about it. And like, is it really like, what does it mean to be a creator? And like, how does that like, what does it mean to be a creator? Like, what do you want your legacy to be? Like, do you really feel proud about everything? And like, he even like ends up using the soundtrack, like not soundtrack, but like an album this guy made throughout the entire course of the video to like, as its like kind of theme song where it's soundtrack to the video.
Yeah, which is like the big plot twist, actually.
Yeah. But I think the big point of it is that like, you know, you could make like a really small like thing, and it could be like something that is cemented as being a part of a much larger cultural like icon, and like, you know, maybe you should be recognized for the contributions that you did for that. Maybe you shouldn't, and like, it's kind of the questions that he asked there, and he's like,
it's definitely an interesting thought. I'm just always more of like the art you put into the world, like so many people put things into the world that never will hit the mainstream, and that's fine.
Right.
You have something you're remembered for. You have like your place in the annals of history. He's got his tune. Sure, some of his other music didn't blow up, but I like, hey, we have discovered that music now. Like, I don't know, it like art kind of like naturally will progress, and it'll find, I think, its way to where it deserves to be. Maybe, yeah, it'll find its audience.
You know, it's interesting. When I was watching this video, which was immediately before this podcast, the video that it most reminded me of is one I watched recently, which was like investigating who made the Roblox oof.
I wanted to bring that up because that's the thing. I thought that was such a more interesting video.
It's really similar, and I guess the difference is like, obviously we know who made the Roblox oof sound. It just went into this longer rabbit hole of like, that guy, much like the Disney Channel theme guy, he couldn't have known how many people would end up hearing that sound bite at the time he made it. And it's funny because, like, you know, the Disney Channel guy is dead now, and, you know, maybe he does or doesn't know how big of an impact it was and does or doesn't care. And then, like, the Roblox oof guy, like, he made that sound, and then probably, I don't know how many years later, a decade and a half, and apparently now he is trying to squeeze every dollar out of the credit for making that sound effect that he possibly can.
Well, no, that's not correct. Like the H Bomber, maybe there's multiple oof sound videos, but the H Bomber guy one actually debunks, like, we don't know who made the oof sound because the guy who's been claiming he made it has been lying. And then at the very end, he's like, actually, I found it. It's someone who worked with that guy, but one person's taking credit and the other person's letting it happen.
That's what it was. Like, the guy who actually made it has gone on to work on, like, dozens of different projects, video games, movies, whatever. And he doesn't even credit himself as the Roblox oof guy. The guy who does take credit, I think H Bomber was like, maybe he like hit the save button on the file.
Yeah, it's pretty scummy. And I guess ultimately what I was trying to get at is, like, when you put art into the world, it grows its own legs, and you just have to kind of watch it fly. And that art will outlive you unless it's like the Mona Lisa getting burned down, but it'll have pictures of it will exist. Like, your art will outlive you, and you just kind of have to let it go, and you can't worry about where it ends up. Like, you don't have control over that. That's just not how that works, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a lot of interesting videos about similar topics recently that I
they both came out around Thanksgiving, like I think within 24 hours of each other, and they were both obviously like working on these for months.
There really are inverses of one another, and like one, I'm gonna tear this person down and unveil the true person, and the other is like, I'm going to unveil the true person and feel kind of bad about kind of doing that, as now he's the Disney guy.
Yeah, digging up a dead body.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I like that video. I don't think it's his best video. That award goes to his Fast Pass video. And I looked it up. So last I checked, the Disney Channel video had 3 million views. I want y'all to guess how many views the Fast Pass video has.
13 million views.
Jesus, that many? I was gonna guess like 5 million.
The Fast Pass video has 15 million views.
Fuck.
I got close.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
That video is actually not only a good documentary, it's a dissertation on like why the Fast Pass system has never worked. And with scientific backup done by him, who is an engineering major in urban engineering. And so he does his own research, his own like scientific like data structure for it.
Look,
he's like, you're probably just not gonna make this work.
Yeah, no, like he breaks it down. Like he's like, I have numbers I have collected, and I've put them into the system how everything works. I've run the numbers 1,000 times for each different Fast Pass system that is made. Here are the results, and here's what happens to line times when you do it this way, this way, this way, and this way, and no way. And it's a really great like kind of like summation of like why this doesn't work.
I have no interest in that, but I'm just happy when people are passionate about something. It's like, hey, if you want to make a dissertation about a fucking Fast Pass, do it.
Like it's so good. It's so good. There's like a mid like video plot twist that happened that actually blew my mind. It's great.
All right,
but yeah.
We got 2 last topics. I'm gonna do the movie block now. Now, before anyone freaks out, I'm planning to do this in like 10 to 15 minutes. There's just a lot of movies, but I have little short blurbs I've written down to say about them to just breeze by.
Do you want me to time you?
No, don't put me up. I'm not in school right now, Joe.
All right.
You have 1 minute left in your speech before you get deducted a letter grade. So, I didn't just watch these movies. I've been doing a lot of research. My writing output, which is a side hobby of mine, has been very high lately, and I've been really getting down to it and like taking some notes about a variety of movies to kind of pick apart kind of like their connective structure. I'm not going to get into it, but that's like... And also, around the holidays, when I have time, and I'm like, after I've done the Game of the Year rush, it's like, oh, fuck, finally time for movies. So I go on a huge movie binge around this time, every year, pretty much. So I'm going to list out the movies. When I do, let me know if you've seen the movies so we can have a very quick chat about it. Now, I've listed the movies from my favorite to least favorite. That being said, there's a couple movies that I watched since the last podcast that are not in order. I'm just gonna list them now.
Oh yeah.
We got Glass Onion, which me and Joe watched. I love this movie, and I think it's a worthy, if not as good, if not even slightly better, the more I think about it, follow up to Knives Out.
I agree. Good movie. I think it's a great follow up. I don't want to talk any more about it because of obvious spoilers reasons, but I think Rian Johnson does a good job in replicating Agatha Christie's mystery methodologies.
Yes, which actually, getting into that, Agatha Christie is my next read now that I finish Red Seas Over Red Skies. Now, where I'm going to start with that bitch, where she's written 600 books, I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
I would recommend And Then There Were None.
But that's the best one, so I can't start there, I think.
Okay, then I recommend The Murder on the Orient Express.
I was thinking that, or The Murder in the Library. It's something simple to... It's like a 600...
murders.
These are like when I do it at 1.5 speed, those are going to be like 3.5 hour journeys. So I'm trying to bang them out on my plane flight. Okay. So that's Glass Onion. Me and Joe also watched The Menu. The Menu is fucking hilarious. Great movie.
Menu is very good. I feel like a lot of themes that Glass Onion has, a lot of similar themes of movies that have been coming out lately.
Yes.
I would. It's a dark comedy. I would recommend just like not kind of like knowing anything about the movie.
Its base premise is a bunch of people get invited to a super Michelin chef's big night where he's doing something very experimental, and it goes from there. Yeah. Three of us watched the Guardians Holiday Special, and I quite liked that. It was very fun, 40 minutes.
That was good.
Tyler hated this because he hates the Guardians.
Did I hate this?
I don't know. I think you had it in your lowest tier of a Marvel movie in Phase 4. I remember.
I don't think I commented on this with you, to be honest.
I have receipts. Hold on. We'll do it later.
Are you sure it wasn't like that scene yet?
No, we watched it together.
I know.
I thought it was just neutral. Like, it was not bad, not good.
It was a short, fun time. I'm just such a fan of the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
How did they have such a touching how does James Gunn, he's such a fucking idiot and his humor is so stupid, and then at the end of the movie he makes you feel some real ass human emotions. He did it with Suicide Squad, he does it with all the Guardians movies. I don't know, he's got a talent for it.
I think it was okay.
And then I watched Bullet Train, and look, I feel gaslit. This is, out of every movie in this list, this is probably bottom 1 or 2.
All I'm saying is you're the outlier of all the people that I know that have watched this movie. So
yeah, and you guys are the outlier of the people I watched. None of us had a good time by the end.
Damn.
The dialogue is trying so hard to be quippy. None of the characters are good. The most damning thing is the action in this movie is so incredibly mid. Rewatch this movie and try to pick out a cool action scene. Because when you see this movie in the trailers and you see the lighting and the vibe, you're like, oh, this shit's gonna be crazy and super fun. And it divulges into people blocking a syringe with a briefcase while someone calls them a bitch 30 times. And then it's like the most standard action scene. I just expected so much more. And then complete nonsense near the end. Ugh.
I watched this movie 4 times over the break, all with different people who all enjoyed it.
People like this movie.
It's not like The Kingsman.
No, that's a fucking movie.
No, that's a movie with an action scene.
Yeah, but it is entertaining nonetheless, and I think to justify Willer's point of saying it is a good movie is in that scene, it is all about a character who has bad luck, but his bad luck is actually good luck. He's just a really pessimistic guy.
That's the one really good joke and gag of the movie.
But yeah, he works for an assassination agency, but he's not an assassin. He's just a guy who does simple shit. So that's why all the combat is really bad, because he doesn't do combat.
There's other characters in the fucking movie, and I don't know. The movie has a lot of uninteresting action for what it should have.
The bitch character is also a parody of the Nightmare Man from Rick and Morty, by the way. I know that's a little highbrow above your head to understand, Willard, probably IQ, your friends too.
My IQ is a little low, I'll admit it.
Yeah. So I get that. Also, I think the action is probably pretty mid in this movie because it's real and not 3D like probably other movies you're used to.
No, get that shit right out of here.
The ending of this movie is them. Spoilers alert.
That's okay. Okay, yes, obviously that part is 3D. That's it.
Are you? I want to reach over and punch you. It's called good choreography. I know you wouldn't know it because you like movies like this. I don't know. Go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a fucking comedy movie with
I have seen that movie
with 10,000 times better action.
It does have better action.
All right.
Anyways, bad movie. Bradley should watch it and break the tie. But I'm just telling you.
I don't like that idea.
Not high currently, but okay.
Yeah, Willer's heavily one-sided in this
Yeah,
space.
there is no tie to break, but maybe you can make one.
So I will say, for a movie being made by a stunt coordinator, I watched 2 movies last year made by stunt coordinators. One was good, which was Bullet Train, and one was very shit bad, which was that vampire movie.
Right. You did not like that.
That was
You would. Days Gone. You know, whatever it's called. Days Out, Night Watch.
Yeah.
Day Watch?
I don't remember. It was that bad as Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Anyways,
let's get to the binge.
Day Shift.
Okay. No, yes, Day Shift. So, the worst movie of the binge was A Star is Born. Anyone watch that one?
That's the Lady Gaga movie,
That's
right?
the Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga romance drama music movie.
A lot of people seem to like that movie. I thought was well received.
This movie is very well received.
Got Oscars.
Which is why I was so bummed that I didn't really vibe with it.
I feel like it's on that La La Land spectrum.
No, La La Land I think is brilliant. The thing with this movie is the chemistry between Lady Gaga and B. Coop isn't quite there. I wasn't invested in how they started dating. And ultimately, Bradley Cooper is a very unlikable character in this movie and has almost no redeeming qualities. And you're supposed to kind of feel for him near the end. And, like, I kind of did. He's an alcoholic. He's got issues. But there wasn't anything for me to grab on there. And I don't know. And, like, one of the most interesting plot points gets brushed right by, which is, like, Lady Gaga very subtly sells out as her career's taken off. And, like, I thought that could have been more interesting, but it just kind of becomes a fight that then moves on to other things. I will say, one thing I do like about Bradley Cooper is they start touring together because he hears her in, like, a drag show, and he's like, hey, that voice is great. You're going to come do country with me. And then they do. And when she does, like, start getting her own big breaks, what's beautiful is that Bradley Cooper is happy for her. He's not jealous. And, like, that's, like, the one thing that made me like his character. But it's not a bad movie by any means. It's just my least favorite. Next up, we got Boy State. I bet you guys have never even heard of this movie.
Nope.
Sounds gay. Just kidding.
No, not quite. In fact, if you said that to them, they would be very mad because Boy State is a thing that exists in real life. It is a high school activity where every state has a boy state. This takes place in the Texas boy state, so it hits close to home.
Yeah.
Where everyone goes to the Capitol. You sign up, you go to the Capitol, and you run a mock government for 1 week. I think this happens during the summer.
We had some homies from my grade school do Boy State.
I feel like Tyler is the kind of person that, if he was a little more politically inclined when he was younger, would go to a boy state, for example. This has
debatable. Those are the debate kids. I don't vibe with them.
I could see you being a debate kid, but I also.
Oh fuck no! Highly despise.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're definitely a theater kid, but like different because you come from South Park. But that's a story for another day. So this follows 4 kids in the boy state, and it's just a bunch of kids. You got one of them running for governor. You got one of them that's like I think he's like a black gay kid. And this is Texas boy state in 2016, so it's very Trump heavy. The thing that comes out the entire fucking movie is gun laws. These kids do not shut the fuck up about gun laws. They care so much about it. Abortion comes up here and there as well. And like succeeding from the United States comes up here and there. Because, you know, Trump era.
Of course.
It's very conservative leaning. However, like one of the kids, and he's running for governor, which is the highest seat you can run at during Boy State, is like a Hispanic liberal kid. And another one who is running against them early on but doesn't make it to the final stage is like, when you see him, he screams like the typical conservative, charming, white boy politician that you see like all over the news in red states and stuff. and he's like really playing the role, but you find out that like the twist, like a bit of a twist, it's like he's not really into a lot of the things he's saying, and a lot of these kids are having to lie about their platforms so they win, and it just makes you feel kind of bad where it's like, oh my god, these politicians learn so early to not have morals and just get votes. And
that's literally debate. Like, it's not about morals at all. It's literally only about money.
Okay, no, but this isn't debate club. This is politician club.
It's like, I had friends who did Boys State. It's the same concept. It's the same people.
I'm saying no, but I'm saying like debate should be, you should be debating for stuff you don't necessarily believe in, because that's what debate is. In politics, it's just sad that like they're completely okay with just throwing away their morals from the start. Like this is just how they go into it, and then they just kind of go whatever their constituents want, which is like, it's just an encapsulation in a documentary of everything I dislike about politics. But it was really good. It was still very enjoyable, and I recommend it.
Is it a documentary, or is it like a...
It is a documentary. It's a real Boys State that happened in 2016 with real people.
Oh, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's following 4 of them. And then I watched a movie called Triangle of Sadness. This is one of the Oscar baits of 2022 on the list. This is such a weird movie, dude. Okay, so it's about a male model who's dating a female model. The female model makes all the money because she's a female model, and they're in an industry where she would have that dynamic over him. Right. The movie has a lot of, like, gender roles and gender flipping as a result. So... And it's also very much about wealth disparity and then flipping that on its head, too. So part 1 of the movie is about the 2 main characters. And they have a fight over, like, hey, how come I always have to pay for dinner because he's the guy? She makes more money, but he's the guy, so he has to pay. And, like, that's kind of, like, where that fight kind of goes. So it's kind of setting that theme up. Part 2, they get randomly invited to a yacht. This yacht, the captain is a drunk Woody Harrelson, who I love Woody Harrelson. And then you meet a lot of the people who are in this yacht, and also the crew that works in the yacht. So there's the front-facing crew, all the people in white. They are do whatever the customer want kind of people. The Filipinos who work at actually cleaning and cooking and are like subjugated to the bottom of the yacht. So there's like that visual symbolism. And then all the rich people on the yacht. It's like a big cruise yacht, I think. And, like, shit goes wrong where, like, one of the ladies is like, hey, all of the servers, get in the pool. Come on. I want it to happen. And they're like, the customer's always right. Everybody get in the pool. Which leads to food being really bad. Everyone has food poisoning. And shit literally hits the fan as there's about a 20-minute stretch of this movie that is just people drunkenly throwing up and shitting. And, like, the ship is swinging in the storm. And it's awful. And then the pirates show up, and part 3 happens. Somali pirate kind of vibe shows up, capsizes the ship. Next thing you know, a couple of those people you met are on an island, and now it is an island survival movie for the rest of the movie. However, it took 2 hours to get to this point, it took 80 minutes to get to this point. I think the movie really did not need to take 80 minutes to get to that point, to establish those themes I talked about. Because the third part of this movie is fucking great. Because the one person that can provide food was one of those workers that the movie didn't pay any attention to. She's just like a middle-aged woman who can fish well. So because of that, she's able to provide food. Because of that, she's the de facto leader because they're in a survival island situation. And then she starts to rule the land. She's like the boss lady. People kind of like, she's annoying, but because they only have each other, like bonds form. Like one of the pirates washes up with them, and they're like, yo, you're a pirate. He's like, you think I'm a pirate just because I'm black? Turns out in the end he was a pirate, but like they're all friends by the end. So when he's saying it, they don't really care. And like the lady starts using that male character as like a fuck toy in the beach for like favors, and like now he's having to whore himself out, and it becomes a complete matriarchy. Because all the rich people on the boat don't know how to fend for themselves, and there's a woman on top. So, it does all that to twist it. None of you will watch this movie, so I'm going to spoil the ending real quick. They find out the whole time they were on a resort beach. And the girlfriend and the matriarch go out, and they're the ones that stumble on it. And they're, like, super happy. And the girl's like, hey, you get to go back to your family. We get to escape here. And the lady's like, oh, right. I don't have a family in the real world. And I'm a fucking boat server. And I have nothing going for me. Well, on this island, I'm the fucking queen. So it ends with her contemplating murdering the girl in order to hide the secret of the island. Which is, like, when it culminates to that, that's a fantastic scene. I don't think she ends up murdering the girl. And even if she does, it doesn't matter because it's only a matter of time before they find out the resort island.
Yeah, I don't. Even from just people stumbling onto them, I don't think that would last very long.
Exactly, like they found out because a bracelet salesman stumbles by this Russian lady who can't really speak. She's mute, and she's like, "Oh shit, no one's around me, but hey, there's people on the island." I don't know. This would be a very good movie if the first 2 parts were shortened. It's still quite good. I finally watched Lego Batman after trying to watch it 3 times in the wrong languages.
We did it.
I got it. Hey, guess what? This movie's fucking great.
Yeah.
I imagine all of you have seen this one?
I have seen it.
I have not since it came out.
But you watched it before. Did you like it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone likes Lego Batman.
Yeah. I think it's like leaning into a meme of Batman that I think is just completely inaccurate. That would be like my one thing I don't like. Everything else is great. It's super funny. These Lego movies look beautiful.
That's the thing. Lego Batman is like his own character.
I would love to know what meme of Batman you don't think is real.
It's leaning into the Batman thinks he's super cool and strong. Yeah. And like almost no version of Batman actually likes himself that much. Like this is an egotistical like I'm Batman, I'm super cool. But it like that's just a meme Batman based on a Christian Bale voice. Like, there's almost no iteration of the character that really fits that. Now, the themes they're exploring are very Batman, which is the theme of, like, not wanting to open yourself up to a family again. That's fantastic. So it still works out in the end.
How did you like the Joker-Batman romance?
I don't love it. I also don't love Joker's voice. Will Arnett, though, as Batman is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I like... The Joker was not great. A lot of the other villains, like Catwoman, fucking cracked me up anytime she spoke.
You know, that is Catwoman from the Batman, right?
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, it's Zoe Kravitz.
Like, that's so funny. Like, Catwoman's gimmick in this is like she doesn't have many lines, but after she says the line, she goes, meow, meow. Like, she just does stupid cat noises, and it's so funny to me. Also, the song that Batman sings at the very start is a banger, and I should probably go listen to that again.
Also, other little fun fact and tidbits there. God, what's his name? Oh God, the guy who plays Lando Calrissian. This is a really weird like trivia tangent, but he played Harvey Dent in the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton in it.
Right.
And he was promised to play Two-Face later. They ended up ditching that entirely and had Tommy Lee Jones play Two-Face.
Yeah.
And so he plays Two-Face in this movie now.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Other joke I have to mention is the Police Harvard joke, which is where Barbara Gordon graduated from. That always slayed me. Okay. I also watched The Northman. This would be the second 2020 Oscar bait movie.
I want to watch The Northman. I contemplated seeing that in theaters.
I highly recommend you specifically watch The Northman.
I want to see naked people going berserk on each other.
That's The Northman. The Northman is the story of there was a king and a child. The king was of like a Viking style king. He comes back. I think he's played by someone really good. I think it was Ethan Hawke. They do like this ritual, like this movie does a lot of mystical things where it's like, was that actual magic or are they just tripping off of shit they're eating, or are they like just seeing things? It's a really cool, like you can't tell what was real and what wasn't. There's a scene with a Valkyrie in the second half of the movie that looks stunning. It's like, is this happening? Is this real? There's a scene where Zeus shows up and I don't know what that was all about, but like that makes it cool. It feels like a myth. It's Norse, of course. Anyways, the king's brother kills him and betrays him. The kid sails away, grows up, becomes a Viking, comes back for revenge. He becomes a slave for the person he's trying to get revenge on, who is now no longer king he lost his kingship and is just a sheep farmer. So from the start, he's getting revenge on a person who's below like the level that they killed their brother to get. Like they've already fallen from grace, and he's still going for revenge.
That's sick.
And the cool parts of this movie are the mythology and like how testosterone masculine it is. Like there's some hardcore shit that goes on, and like some bad. There's a part of this movie where the main character goes into a Dark Souls level and fights a boss from Dark Souls. And then it's like, I don't think that happened in real life, but it was cool. And then he gets a sword that can only be unsheathed during the night. For should he unsheath it during the day, he will lose his soul. Like, it's got cool shit like that.
Cool.
That leads us to Decision to Leave. This was another 2022 popular Oscar bait movie. However, this is the 2022 Korean movie of the year. I'm glad that there's one now per year. This is a detective story, and it follows a detective who one day they find a dude fell from a mountaintop and he's just dead on the ground. They start questioning his wife. They find out that he beats his wife. Finds out that the wife has plenty of motives to kill him. It goes from there. You find out that the wife did kill him, but the way that she gets away with it is that she forms a romantic relationship with the head detective. And it's really a romance thriller because they build up this romance the whole movie. And you find out she does it by the halfway point in the movie. There's a lot more after that goes on, and it's very good as well.
Interesting.
One thing I want to note about this movie is like crazy directing techniques where like someone will be looking through a telescope and then the camera will pan and show them in the room that they were looking into, observing the person they were spying on up close to kind of like symbolize like how creepy that spying is. It puts them right next to it. So sometimes it goes a little too crazy, but I think it was all in all really good directing. Korean movies kind of slap. I need to watch more of them. Tracking down this movie was a pain in the ass, though. I could not find it through my usual means, so I had to get a subscription to Mubi, the movie service.
According to this, it's on Amazon. Oh, it's with the premium subscription, though.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I should pay the full price, and I probably should. It was a really good movie. Then I watched Game Night. This is a 2018 comedy that I recommend everyone watch. I think, Joe, you watched this?
I have seen this movie. I think I watched this when I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, and I was like, I got nothing to do. I'll watch this.
Tyler, have you ever seen this? Because I think you'd like this as well.
I've seen bits. It's the Arrested Development guy.
Yeah, Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams are the two.
The trailers had me about to go see it.
Oh, Bradley, if you were at all interested, it's way better than it looks. Even.
Let's fucking go. I was worried, like, it looks funny, but I was worried that that's, like, all it would be, like, funny for one sitting, but I don't know.
I think this is a modern great, the modern great comedy. Not much, like,
awesome.
Comedy's kind of very hit or miss these days. I mean, it always was. We watched The Zoolander the other day, and I was like, yeah, that's a 2000s comedy. There were some good bits, though, don't get me wrong. And yeah, like, I think this is just a fantastic comedy. The chemistry between the leads is fantastic. I also like how, I don't know if you noticed this when you watched the show, the entire movie's plot is structured around replicating board game night games.
Yeah.
Where, like, hey, we're playing hot potato in this scene. In this scene, we're secretly playing Jenga. In this scene, there's a plot line where the entire plot line is Guess Who. And it, like, it doesn't draw attention to it, but when you notice it, it's like, oh my god, they constructed the entire movie around that concept, which is really funny.
Yeah.
All right, down to the top three. We got Isle of Dogs. Has anyone seen this one? Stop motion movie.
I have seen Isle of Dogs.
Do you like this movie?
I thought this movie was good. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Oh, this is the Wes Anderson one. I like the hacker kid.
Yo, yeah.
Oh my god, he's such a like one-bit character. He shows up twice.
That shit makes me laugh so hard.
I thought this movie was super charming, and I like the way it's told.
Yes.
I like how brutal and gory it gets. Like, it's like these animals tear themselves to shreds for maggoty food and tear their like ears from each other. Like, it got real. It's also very like the threat is very real. Like, these animals are about to get euthanized. The only thing I don't like about this movie, it would be like it'd be up one slot. Do you remember the girl from the movie where like there's this foreign exchange student.
The one with the big afro.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
I don't know if this is a hot take among us, but like she doesn't need to exist necessarily.
Yeah, she's kind of. I think her point is to kind of be like the American character that is a little bit more Americanized.
I don't think I needed that in this super Japanesey movie.
I don't think I needed that either.
I feel like the only argument I could make is that she kind of draws the inland plot line forward a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like I guess it is kind of like you need that person in the chair that like is there to like relay what's happening in the real world to like everyone else.
Sort of. I don't know. She just felt like a shoehorned love interest.
I think her character could have been a little bit more unique.
Same with Johansson's dog. There's like this hot like all the dogs are fawning over this one girl. I like when the main character's like, "There's a bitch that carrying my character, my children." It's like, "Oh right, that means dog or female dog." Also, Bryan Cranston's the main character. That's pretty great. But yeah, like the Scarlett Johansson dog is also like just there for just to be a girl.
Mm-hmm.
The two top movies are sort of interchangeable. You got Puss in Boots. Three of us watched that together. God damn, is that a good movie?
Puss in Boots was so fucking good.
Like,
I'm really excited to see this.
Best anime movie of 2023.
You gonna go see Puss in Boots in there, and then we play Mosaic?
I could do that.
Yeah.
I like Puss in Boots is very rewatchable. I think it goes without saying, like, the wolf character in this movie is Chef's Kiss, one of the best animated villains they've ever made. But,
so good. I was shocked at the choreography of fights in this movie. Like they are actually like entertaining fights that have like strategy and what's going on. They utilize Puss's like size, even when he fights people, and like that's great.
This is done in the Into the Spider-Verse style, but it's got even better action than Into the Spider-Verse, which is nuts. Yeah. The only part I don't like is that the dog orphanage part goes on for too long, but aside from that, excellent movie.
It's a cat orphanage.
Sorry, right. Well, sorry, there was potentially a dog in there. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I can't believe they turned me around on that character by the end, by the way. The dog.
Oh, yes.
They got you.
I wasn't
pranked.
Were you feeling sus? I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this
man.
guy.
I like the dog. It's a Mexican street chihuahua.
Man,
yeah.
I was really thinking they were going to go with the very cliche route of like what was going to happen to that character, and Puss was going to have to make a choice for the end of that plot.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of glad they didn't do that.
Me too. I like the solution they took.
Yes. The
realization
they all had.
Goldilocks in this movie is Florence Pugh, Bradley. So if that doesn't get you to go, nothing can.
Her best movie.
Her best movie of the year. No. And then I watched, or go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I'm surprised that also they were able to fit an entire character arc for like a tertiary character. Yeah, and it fit really well too.
The other villain was so fucking funny too. Jack Horner.
Yeah.
The bit with the cricket. Me and Austin were fucking cracking up. Every time that cricket spoke, it was an S tier joke.
Yeah. Also, the voice acting cast of like Jack Horner and every other character in this movie is racially on point. By the way,
Antonio Banderas went fucking crazy.
Oh, he slayed.
I was surprised at how good his voice acting was.
Him and Selma Hayek have really good chemistry.
That was Kitty.
Yes.
I will note, I never watched Puss in Boots 1. It didn't matter. You figure it out. You figure out who the characters are.
I think Antonio Banderas is married to Selma Hayek.
Oh.
Are they?
Yeah. Hold on.
Well, damn, that makes that one plot line really sad. Extra sad.
No, his spouse is no one right now. But anyway, they did a movie together. I think their first movie they did together was potentially The Desperado back in 1995.
Damn. That's some
yeah, like they go way back, and like they just have great
great chemistry with each other.
Okay.
I think that's one thing.
And we get to the end. I watched Tar. This is the best Oscar bait movie of the year. It follows a orchestra. Composer? No, not composer. Like maestro. The
Conductor.
Conductor. Thank you. Tar is one of the greatest conductors of modern times. She teaches classes. She's super well off. Her wife is also part of the orchestra, but she has a penchant to hire attractive young women to the orchestra. So the movie kind of follows this another gender kind of role reveal or returnal, where it's like she's kind of using her position to she's not doing anything super explicit, but she is definitely using it for like a position of power to get semi-sexual desires fulfilled. So it's kind of like a story you'd usually attribute to a man, because it usually is, but not exclusively, which is the story that this movie tells. It's so much more than that. I bring that up because it's the main through line, and it ends up being like a movie about cancellation. And when I'm watching the movie, I was like, this is a good movie. There's a lot happening. There's way too many repetitive scenes. That's like my one negative, but it kind of builds up to like how Tar is very in control, and by the end of the movie she is less so. But it also comments on like when someone is that popular, how far can they actually fall when you cancel them? So it's kind of like a cancel culture movie, but also highlighting a potential flaw where when someone is that popular, they don't necessarily fall as much as you would think from a situation like that, which is why some people say like cancel culture is not real because it's sort of temporary. That's besides the point. Like it's not necessarily making a hard stance on it. I think it's leaving it kind of ambiguous. But I talked about the end of this movie. Her fall from grace is conducting for the Monster Hunter World Orchestra. So the last shots of this movie is her conducting to a audience full of cosplaying Monster Hunter armors. And as I'm watching that, I was like, that logo looks really familiar. These armors look really familiar. And then it clicks that it's Monster Hunter. I'm like, wait, what? It was like surreal.
But you talk about a perfect ending of like, because if you think about it, like if you are someone that is all about orchestra and you do like these huge orchestral sets and you do classical music and you do your own halls and people come and see you, like I guess that's most insulting, but it's also kind of a perfect spot too, because like for you and me, that would be the coolest thing ever, be the person to conduct that orchestra and get to do that music.
A lot of people would love that job, exactly.
Yeah, so
but for Tar, it's a fall from grace, you know.
Right,
but I will say,
like buried in the dirt.
I will say she still gives her all. They kind of like she's still working hard. You see the setup, and she's still putting her all into it. Mm-hmm. But in the beginning of the movie, she talks about the most important part of being a conductor is the fact that she gets to manipulate the speed of the orchestra. But when you're doing something like the Monster Hunter Orchestra, they put those headphones on you with a click track, so you're staying on the speed of an already composed song. So they kind of strip away her favorite part of being an orchestra. But alternatively, when she's falling from grace, she watches videos of her favorite conductor when she was a kid, and he was all about like the most beautiful part of conducting is making people happy. So even though they stripped away some of her favorite aspects, she's making a lot of people happy on that final shot. So it's like a really like it's the kind of ending where I finished and I was like, that was a good movie, and I thought about it a lot. I was like, oh, that might be my favorite movie out of this batch.
I've been looking for that final scene everywhere on YouTube because I just want to see what that looks like. But man, what a surreal experience.
If I find it, I'll let you know.
If I was watching that movie, I'd be like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I saw that comment where it's like, if you told me that a potential Oscar winner movie would end with a dude in a Kulu Yaku outfit, I was like, yeah, but that's how it be.
That's how it be.
All right, and then Tyler, you really like Black Panther too, and I wanted to hear your thoughts about it because you didn't get to talk about it, even though it was a little bit further off.
I don't know, man. I don't really know what to say about it other than I think it's probably one of the best Marvel movies, if not the best Marvel movie made.
Damn, that's your favorite one?
Damn.
It's like, yeah, like Black Panther 2 is just really good.
It's like I wish you could explain why it's like your favorite, because I didn't quite get that vibe when I watched it.
I think if I try, so I've made it like a adamant point to try to not analyze why it's my favorite.
Okay, okay, sure. Sometimes
I
it'd be like that.
Yeah, like despite us having the podcast and it's like what we do as a side thing, I had to sit there and like just really kind of take it in, and I was like, I don't think I should analyze this. I don't know why, but it was just my favorite.
Hey, sometimes you want to keep opinions and thoughts to yourself.
No,
Just because
it's
no,
like
just because we have a diary like on the internet doesn't mean you should put stuff in it if you don't want.
no, it's not like that even. It's like I don't really have thoughts or opinions. It's just like you get to go, it's like being a kid again. Like you go see something, you go, yeah, that one's my favorite, and there's no reason why other than you just enjoy it that
I like
much.
that one.
Yeah, like
Sometimes that'd be that thing.
I think they handled the plot really well. I really liked the bad guy slash neutral enemy. It was like very politically charged.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that aspect of it.
I really like them as well.
I
liked how they handled Chadwick Boseman's death a lot.
Yes,
it was very tasteful.
it was emotional in that way, and I liked it. I think it was very impactful. I think the main three characters, the Queen, his sister, and the General, all had very good roles and arcs throughout the movie. The only thing I didn't like is what I know they're going to do to Ironheart is give her a TV show.
Yeah.
Which I've like explained this to our main Marvel person, that we talk to all the time. I really wish they wouldn't have put Ironheart in this movie as product placement for the TV show, because that's what I feel like the character was. Like, yes, this is an introduction. Yes, it makes sense. However, like, I would rather have Ironheart have her own movie. I would go see a movie about Ironheart. That sounds like a good movie.
It's tough. I don't want to agree with you, but I think I have to, because it just didn't add that much to the plot when you get down to it, unfortunately. So yeah, I feel like they could have shaved that part off.
But the counterpoint to that is that, like, let's say we had to have some sort of inciting incident where if a character that is doing this vibranium thing is creating this machine,
but
like,
Joe, the science doesn't work like that. There's not a single person in the planet. Like, there's no science that only a single person on the planet will ever figure out. Over time, natural laws will make it so someone else will figure out how to make that generator. So it's just
no. What I'm saying is, for the point of this movie, like, what character do you then put into there that makes it that plot element?
No, that's not what I mean. It's like you can put Ironheart there. It's just posthumously after that, I want a movie about Ironheart instead of a TV show.
Oh, I guess that's a different complaint, because but the TV shows are hit or miss. It is what it is.
It's gonna be missed. That's it. Like, I would rather have a nice movie quality of Ironheart.
Fair enough. Good movie.
So if she was in the movie and the next one was an Ironheart movie, you wouldn't feel bad about it.
Correct. Yeah, like if they do end up doing that, I'll be very happy. But I think it's already been announced that it's going to be a TV show.
Well, she's going to have a TV show, and then she's going to be in a movie called Arkham.
Yeah. Cool. Like, I don't know. It's just all very conflicting, because, like, I think Ironheart is like a conceptual character. I think it would have made more sense as the actress from WandaVision, who is the pilot's daughter from Captain Marvel, to start becoming like the Ironheart. Yeah.
But I think those are completely different characters.
They are
characters.
They are, but the MCU is not canon with the comics. Like, I just feel like the pilot's daughter, I don't know. Of course, timeline-wise, it doesn't make sense, but it was just what I wanted.
I think the MCU would be better with your idea, because it'd be spreading itself less thin, and Rainbow's probably never going to do anything interesting in the franchise. Like, I just don't see it happening. So I kind of agree that it'd be better, though. Comic book fans would be very upset, like very, very, very upset.
Yeah, it's like Iron Man played such a big like role in the MCU, and it's weird that Iron Man's legacy is being inherited by like Spider-Man when Spider-Man has his own like path he can like venture forth on, and obviously in the last movie he's not doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's like,
But for the first three,
okay,
totally, yeah.
Yeah, like I guess they're just trying to move on without Iron Man, and it's like I feel like it's honestly really difficult for the MCU to do that because phase 1 through 4 were so powerful.
1 through 3, yeah. It's like, and when you put it like that, like there's that shot where she's making the armor, and they're totally mirroring the Iron Man making the armor scene from Iron Man 1. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it kind of feels weird that they put that shot in the movie where she's a cameo as opposed to like on her. It makes you feel a little less confident for the TV show when they put the good character, like some of that good character stuff in this one.
It's just, I don't know. It feels like Ironheart is supposed to be inspired by Iron Man. Maybe I don't know the comics well enough.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah. So it's like, it would be nice to have some type of semblance. Like, if she was the one student who got the Tony Stark scholarship, like...
and she did. That's how she got the...
But other than that, like, she has no direct tie with Tony Stark, like, unless we get a backstory and she's like, I've been obsessed with him, or like, he saved my life. I don't know. Like,
I do think that I wish there was some sort of like connection, like even if it was a poster or like she had like all Iron Man stuff on her, and that she felt really inspired by it in some way.
Is that too on the nose though? Because we have I don't know. No, because that's how it always goes. It's like I was inspired. Like that's what they did with Hawkeye. I was inspired by you.
Yeah, and like I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think that's the generational part of it that you want to go for. Of like these Avengers in the past who have now retired have inspired new heroes to take up their mantle.
It's really that phase 4 or 5 problem where like, hey, the giant god hand is sticking out of the ocean and everybody fucking ignores it.
Man, I watched that movie now. I can't avoid it. The reality.
Why do you think I've been bitching about
the finale,
nothing being tied in?
The final fight, they should have sailed by the god in the ocean.
That would have been hilarious.
That would have been. They should have fought on his fucking forehead.
It's just Peter Pan. What's his name? Not Peter Pan. Pixie. Who's the fairy king? Oberon.
What is happening?
Who's the main antagonist in Black Panther 2?
Oh my God, Namor.
The
Pixie
What's his name? Amor?
Namor.
His choreography with his flight shit was so fucking cool. I think this is the coolest god form that they've made in MCU so far.
This is one of my favorite flight superheroes because of the air sprinting. I just think it looks so visually
he's using shave, right? That's what that is?
Yeah, he's using moonwalk from One Piece. It's dope.
Yeah, he's moonwalking.
All right.
I also like how they figured out his weakness of like the moisture. Like that's a good way to like give him some sort of kryptonite kind of thing they could work with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like absurd.
I'm gonna say what I have to say a lot now. I hope they don't waste them, because I'm getting worried that a lot of these characters might get wasted. But
he's definitely gonna get wasted. But also at the same time,
he's like he's in the first Marvel comic.
I feel like they're gonna waste him, but at the same time, you just talked about his weakness, and this is why I didn't want to talk about this movie, because I liked it, but now you made me think about it. If they put literally anybody in that, they're gonna fucking die of dehydration.
Okay, but he dies extra.
But no, like, anybody would, like, be in pain if they're just in a, like, super hot vacuum chamber.
Tyler's on the Who Would Win subreddit making some copium argument right now.
But also the point is that, like, even if, like, they crash in on the beach, which he does... Shuri can fight him still because he's depowered because he doesn't have the water. Like it still has to step away.
Yes.
All right, enough thinking about this movie and enough of this podcast. No question of the day today, because this is our January podcast where we're catching up on a bunch of shit. So we're just gonna.
I just want to say that Strange World was bad.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did not like that movie.
Go see Puss in Boots instead.
Yeah,
Yeah, go see Puss instead.
Everybody go watch Puss in Boots right now and go buy Toriko. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.